Hello and welcome to Ponferrada in the west of Spain. The World Cycling Championships underway today, having seen already the women's team time trial won once more by Specialized Lululemon for the third year in a row. We're now waiting to see if Amiga Pharma Quickstep can do likewise in the men's team time trial. I'm Phil Liggett and alongside me is Jose Ben. Jose, a shame about the crash we had in the women's race, and the news is in fact that one of the riders has a broken hip.
Yeah, the story is that she has a broken hip. Funnily enough, the Dutch media reported this, but their team director has not been informed of this. But it looked bad. Anna van der Breggen was down on the floor on the ground, and she couldn't move her leg. Also, quite a big wound in the leg of Annemiek van Vleuten, two of the very strong women also for Saturday's road race team. And Marianne Vos was the first one to get dropped, and it was not a mechanical, Phil.
No, apparently she's not
tired.
feeling too good. But that's all in the past. We're now looking forward to the men's team time trial today here in Ponferrada in Spain. A beautiful town here in the west and part of the Pilgrim's Walk of St. James, which takes you all the way to Santiago de Compostela. And we're in the province of Leon and in the El Berzo Valley, which makes us surrounded completely by hills here, and we're in probably the flattest part of the whole region. The day has warmed up nicely to partly cloudy now, temperature around 21 degrees and very, very light winds, almost unnoticeable at the moment. As we look down here at the finishing area, the riders coming in from the right as they make their way across Ponferrada to the finish of the team time trial. Now the men's event is over 57 kilometers. It is also a big circuit, and the crowd beginning to gather now, having had a slow start to the day. The women's race starting quite early. This course a little bit longer than the earlier women's course as we wander a bit further around the province of Leon. And again, like the women, there are some nasty little climbs in it, and they cause quite a problem for towards the end of the women's team time trial today as well. These little hills, a high spot of over 600 meters, again on the men's race as it was on the women's race. As we get out into the country and amongst the grapevine vines, as we make our way down, the maximum gradient on the course is 10%. Which is pretty steep for a team time trial, and will be a real test for the men. 6-man teams, just the same as with the women, and as always the time taken on the fourth rider to cross the line. And there's a large entry as well, 29 teams taking for the start. We'll see them all go here as we run down to the finish after the steep climb coming towards the end, which takes us through that 600-meter point. There's the sky for you, blue skies around fluffy clouds today, and we're hoping that's the way it's going to stay. There was rain forecast. At the moment it has not materialized. Might be a little bit of thunder in those clouds, and that's what's been happening this past week towards the end of the day. But let's hope not, because in team time trial formation, if it does rain and this road twists and turns, it could be pretty slippery.
Yeah, the descent into the last kilometer is pretty tricky already, and if it's going to be wet, it's going to be even more treacherous.
12 world titles decided this week, and in the two trade team events which are opening the day, as they've done now for the last 2 years. This is the third event this time around, and it's the teams that will receive the honours as world champions rather than the team's riders. These are the full list for you. We start off with Team Ecuador. There's actually only one rider from Ecuador in that squad, Segundo Navarrete, and the rest come from Spain. And the early starters all pretty much pace setters for what will follow later on. The Wanty Group Goubert, we know all about that with Jose alongside me. She's acting as public relations officer for that team. And then we get to the World Tour teams, Lamprey, Trek, Giant Shimano, Belking, Astana, BMC, Team Katusha and AG Tour La Mondiale, and then the last teams to go is where we expect to see the medals arrive. But you can never be sure. In the women's race it was Astana from deep down in the field who finished up in the bronze medal position this morning. So we'll see what happens here with the men. There's Omega Pharma Quickstep, tremendously successful team this year, 70 wins more than this year as well, so they'll be looking forward to a good ride. This is the scene just away from us here at the finishing line, because they start about 400-500 meters across the area of Ponferrada to start their big circle round back towards us.
Yeah, all 18 World Tour teams have to start here. There's only 5 pro-continental teams where there are quite a lot of points for the Europe Tour classification up for grabs, and a further 6 continental teams, so that's all 3 categories of world racing. So 18 World Tour teams, they're all here, but they're not all here in their strongest formation. Some of the teams, well, basically just send people because they have to.
This is the wide start ramp here for the first team on the line of Ecuador. But that's the country in which the team is registered rather than the riders, because there's only one Ecuadorian rider, Segundo Navarrete. The rest are all Spanish, so they should get a nice cheer when they go down the ramp here. It's only the 7th time, in fact, that the World Championships have been held in Spain, and the first time this far away in the West. Unlike the women, they go at 4-minute intervals here in the men, because it's slightly longer, 57 kilometers. And the rider nearest camera on the far right is Carbonell, Fernandez, as we go left to right as we look, Navarrete, Rivera, Simon and Torres. 3 actually. It's always invidious being the first team away. Somebody has to do it. Nobody to chase, no carrots up the road.
En la modalidad de pista denominada americana. Tiene en pista más de 30 medallas en distintos campeonatos. Team Ecuador, primer equipo en tomar la salida en 1 minuto justo.
Countdown for the opening team. Carbonell, Fernandez, Navarrete, Ruava, Simon and Torres. 3 checkpoints along the way before the finishing line at 23.5 kilometers, 36 and 48.9. Finish line sits at 57.1.
De la Junta de Castilla y León. Por aquí están también el presidente de la Fundación Ponferrada Deportes y concejal del Ayuntamiento Ponferradino, Sergio Gallardo. Está Emilio Cubelos.
The individual time trials will start tomorrow, and after a day off on Thursday we get to the road races, and of course we climax with the blue ribbon of them all, the elite professional men, on Sunday, a week away.
Y con él la prueba contrarreloj por equipos de este Mundial de Ciclismo Ponferrada 2014.
Well, at least they win the prize for most colourful rear wheels.
Yes, indeed. And they've gone out of there quite quickly, and quickly into the formation as well. Not a lot of opportunity to rehearse their start, or indeed riding as a team.
They all did have some time yesterday out on the course. Every team had the possibility to do a little recon of the race with police guarding them, so everything would be safe and sound, and every team also did that, of course, to see what they could expect.
Well, what we can expect is quite a warm ride today now, because it's locally 2 o'clock in the afternoon here to start this event. And it's as warm as it's been all day, because once the sun comes up it gets warm quickly, but it's quite cold once the sun goes down. Drops as low as 8 degrees Celsius overnight. Making Nino Fernandez at the back here at the moment. Thing about team time trial riding is the strength of the squad is only that of the fourth man in the team, because 3 strong men can do what they like, but they have to wait for the fourth man to cross the line to take the time, because it is a teamed event, and the object is to try and keep your other riders with you as long as possible and use all of their energy. So very often you will see only 4 eventually come down to the finish together. Big surprise this morning, as you said, Jose, was Marianne Vos hasn't been riding well these last few weeks, not finishing her races, and she shook her head and dropped off the team this morning.
Well, she did say in a reaction to the Dutch television that a road race is something completely different, and that the team were just going too fast for her. And I spoke to Lucinda Brandt just after the finish today, and she said, well, we're quite evenly matched in the team time trial, so everybody basically could get dropped. But it was remarkable that Marianne Vos was the first one going. But yeah, we'll see her on Saturday. It was a bit of luck, after all the bad luck the team had with the crash, that she was not in that formation when they went down.
Yeah, that's another way to look at it, absolutely right. It was a very, very bad crash, the whole team falling, and probably going to a silver medal at the time as well, but we'll never know that.
Most of these riders just come from China, where they did the Tour of China, Part 1 and Part 2. These are the Belgians from Topsport Vlaanderen with Victor Kampenaerts, the Belgian U23 champion. They are wearing the cooling vests. It's not that hot, but there are the current leaders in the UCI Europe Tour. They have absolutely had a stellar season, with a lot of wins, with people like Sander Helven, Tom van Asbroek. And most of these riders go on to bigger teams now, because last year with all of these teams folding, like Vakansolei, Lampo Krediet, they just didn't have a place to go. So they kind of kept all their strong riders, and they're going to see them leave this year. But that's the purpose of the team.
Yes, and always has been, and they certainly put some big names forward into the World Tour teams in the years gone by. Well, they're 4 minutes behind Ecuador when they get underway. Second of 29 teams to go. As we now pick up here with MG Kvis Villiers, the Italian squad, with Liam Bertazzo, Matteo Buzzato, Riccardo Donato, Matteo Caporti, Andrea Nikita and Lorenzo Rota. The top sport Flandern team still a little away from their call time yet. Got a good half hour to warm up. Just off to the right of the riders here as we see them take the start. Five Italians and one from Romania, Nikita.
I just got a text message from the Rabobank team manager. It is indeed a fracture of the ilium for Anna van der Breggen, so that means she is ruled out for the road race on Saturday. And she really was on grand form in last week's Lotto Belisol Belgian Tour. And last year she did a stellar job for Marianne Vos in Italy. Just fell off the podium herself, and she told me this week that she really wanted to go for her own chances this year. But that will have to wait another year for Anna van der Breggen.
Yeah, that really is sad news. 1 kilometre from the finish when the accident happened in the women's race. And all of the team falling up against the barriers there. As now we're seeing the second team underway here in the men's team time trial World Championship now.
Liam Bertazzo is the last guy in this formation. He's a guy that we know from track racing. He races a lot of track with Elia Viviani in the Madison. And he's also the brother of a rider for Androni, Omar Bertazzo. So that's one of these cycling families in Italy. You see a lot of times where brothers are picking up cycling. Mobistar has got 3 pairs of them.
Yeah,
with Herrada, Izagirre and Quintana. Well, it saves on driving your children to sports, doesn't it? They all do the same sports.
Well, this is an Italian squad, all dressed in the blue colours of Italy. And the Italians looking towards the men's professional race as well a week today. Earlier riders, next team to go will be the Rabobank development team.
Yeah, and they did really well last year. They were the first non-World Tour team. But they do have a different team today. But yeah, these are the young guns with the Rabobank development team. In the past, they had a direct link with the World Tour team, the elite team of Rabobank. So that, well, mostly every year, 1 or 2, sometimes even 3 riders moved up to the highest rank. But that connection has been severed, has been disconnected. Now the Belkin team has no longer got any relations left with Rabobank. And they are still sponsored by the bank that still invests heavily in cycling. But they don't want to do anything to do with the elite men. They sponsor the women, they sponsor the cyclocross, the mountain biking, the U23s, but not the men elite.
And that's a direct fallout from the doping scandals of the Armstrong era, as we now watch the development team here prepare for the start. Pieter Havik, Leonard Hofstede, Merin Kurova, Sam Oerman, Ivan Slik and Martin Tuschveld.
Out of these 6 riders, 5 riders are going to be part of the team next year. Only Ivar Slik is going to move over to Belkin. They're all quite young riders. Leonard Hofstede, very good climber. Sam Omer, the youngest one on the team. And they're all very young riders, 93, 94, 95 year of birth. And they've got their team ready for next year. The Rabobank development team got some promising new riders, some promising first year out of their junior years. And in the year they turn 23, they have to leave the team. The same goes, for example, with Bissell or the BMC development team. It is a development team, as the name says.
Which I think is terrific. At last we're getting nursery squads in professional cycling, as one would see in other sports, and the riders are clearly coming through. It's rather like French cycling clubs like the Pomme Marseille, La Pomme, sending up, I think it's over 26 riders they've now sent to teams which have taken part in the Tour de France from that club down in the south.
Yeah, the same with the development team for Europcar, the same for FDJ. They also have one of these amateur clubs that all of these big riders from Thibaut Pinot to Bouhanni, all the guys come from there. And they really have a very promising generation in France at the moment. Pieter Havik, he's a sprinter. He's now in 4th position.
20-year-old.
So last year these guys finished 19th, but then they still had guys on the team like Ruben Sepuntke, who won a stage in the Tour of Alberta, who's now with Bissell. Mike Teunissen, who's going to be a professional next year with Belkin. Rick Sabel, who's of course part of the BMC team. And they have Leonard Hofstede, Martijn Tuschveld, who were already part of the team last year. But being 19th, being the first non-World Tour team for such a young squad is quite an achievement. And they hope to repeat that this year. That's the ambition.
Looking here at the 17 to go, Caja Rural carrying the Spanish hopes here. And a number of these riders, or those riders as we leave them, were in the recent conclusion of the Vuelta a España. And they must say that that team had a terrific Tour of Spain, especially with Luis Leon Sanchez winning the King of the Mountains for them. They didn't.
He's not here.
He's not here, no. And but also one rider is Luis Mas, who led in the King of the Mountains for 11 days before handing his jersey over to his teammate to take the honours. So back with Rabobank, third team to go as they head down to the first check at 23 kilometres. Back at the start house, this is the BDC Markpool team from Poland. Paweł Bernas, Kamil Gracek, Blažiš Janicek, Piotr Kerpska, Jaroslav Kowalczyk and Adam Stacheviak.
Hay una chica de aquel lado que está sintiendo con la cabeza y no sé si me dice que es que va a llover o que no.
This is the fourth team to start at 4-minute intervals between the riders today, 29 teams in all. And then they look pretty similar to the MG, this team with these colours once they get out on the road. Quite a technical start leaving the start ramp here. It takes a little while, a kilometre or so, to get into the formation, and so one rider tends to lead them away through the switchbacks.
To the carnival.
Yeah.
The bumper cars.
Championships opened yesterday. A very nice opening ceremony downtown Ponferrada with the fireworks display and, of course, some very nice opera singing. To Mark Paul.
The next team off the ramp is a team from the Ukraine who have had quite a stellar year so far. 16 victories already, including many victories in China. And all these 2.2 ranked stage races, though China is a little bit higher, Qinghai Lake. But these teams, they ride their race on the continental circuit in either Asia or Europe, and we don't get to see them much on mainstream television.
Well, this last couple of seasons, Asia and Australasia have some tremendous racing. You can actually stay out there virtually the whole year now and never be seen in Europe anymore. Culminating, of course, with the World Tour race, the Tour of Beijing, which is pretty soon after these championships finish, early October. The final of the World Tour competition for the elite.
10th of October, that is, or the 9th. These are the FDG guys. FDG.fr, as their official name is. One of the World Tour teams. Of course, they had a fantastic year with a third place in the Tour with Thibaut Pinot. They're here with William Bonnet, David Couchet, Mathieu Ladagnou, Laurent de Bonne, Laurent Pichon, and Jérémy Roy. And they're doing their warm-up, and they're doing that in zones of watts. Every time zone, every time interval of like 5 or 6 minutes, they have to increase the watts until about 35-40 minutes before the start. The women went up to about 280 watts. The men will, of course, get a little bit more than that. But that's to get the muscles a bit warmed up and ready for the race, because it's going to be full gas straight from the start line. No time to get a little bit accustomed to the racing. No, you have to be ready to go straight away.
Yes, the warm-up is extremely important in time trials.
So here's that Ukrainian team.
It's all the riders from, unfortunately, a country which is in severe strife at the moment, and I should imagine quite difficult for these riders. As Alexander Golovash, Mikhailo Kononenko, Alexander Kavchuk, Sergei Lakuti, Alexander Polivoda and Andrei Vasiliuk are the team riders here for Ukraine.
One of their more prolific riders, Vitaly Buks, is not part of this team. He did a very good tour of Azerbaijan, winning, getting top 3 places in both flat sprints and mountain stages. with 25-kilometer climbs. Very versatile, that is, if he can do that. But his teammates are off. And all these guys have been winning already this year before. The time trial champion for the Ukraine is the guy with 2:46, Andrei Faziluk. So of course he's going to be part of this team as well. It's very much like the Italian national jersey, doesn't it?
It does. This is Mark Pol, the Polish setup here. Sat at the back to Stachiwiak. Pretty silent world out there, is it? Just testing themselves, getting into the rhythm.
Riding the Merida bikes, just like the World Tour team does.
Team AG2R, La Mondiale, French setup.
One of the three World Tour teams from France.
Quite a way to go to the start time. The World Tour team starting near the end of the 29.
They have an hour and 15 minutes to go. With Maxime Bouet, Damien Gaudin, Alexis Gouchard, Patrick Gretsch, who is the real time trial specialist, Montea Montaguti and Sébastien Turgot.
Very good team, AG2R, support all the races around the world, whether the World Tour or not. And Maxime Bouet is one of those riders from La Pomme Marseille, who has progressed from that to a Tour de France place in the past.
He's going to be with Omega Pharma Quickstep next year.
Yes, so he'll be taking quick note on how they ride today, because they'll be the last team to go, I suspect, yeah.
Yeah, very loyal sponsor this is. They've been around for years and years. And a very good Tour de France as well with Perrault, Romain Bardet. Bardet also one of the guys to watch this Sunday in the Elite Men Road Race. So now we're going to the first of the, or the last of the continental teams from Slovenia. Very remarkable guy on this team, Phil, with Primoz Roglic, who in his former life was a ski jumper. So he went from ski jumping to bike racing.
I actually think I'd commentated on it.
On the ski jumping?
Yes, I do ski jumping.
Quite versatile as well. Oh, he holds quite a good record on the long hill, on the big hill.
Yeah, 120 meter. So if you're just joining us, 5 teams have taken to the start. This is the Adria Mobil team from Slovenia, about to start. The riders going at 4-minute intervals. What is the second event on the opening day of the World Cycling Championships here in Ponferrada in Spain. Medals this morning, countries going to America, Australia and Italy, with the specialised Lululemon team setting the best time in the women's race, followed by Orica AIS, and then Astana Beeping taking the 3rd place prize, podium place.
Yeah, this is a team made up of Slovenian and Croatian riders. 4 from Slovenia, 2 from Croatia, which is of course very close to each other. They have Christian Vajc, Bruno Maltar, Matej Mugerli, Radoslav Rogina, Primoz Roglic and Klemen Stimulak. And then that was the last of the 6 continental teams at the start line. We're now going to move on to 5 pro-continental teams, so that's the 2nd division of global cycling. 17 pro-continental teams this year, after some of the teams had to close shop, like Landbouwkrediet's Sojasun and Champion System. So 17 only. It's been a real battle for the wildcards this year because race organisers were really looking for teams to start their races. But next year there's going to be some more pro-continental teams coming from Denmark with the Cold Energy team, Orange Cycling Project from the Netherlands. So there's going to be some more teams coming up in the ranks.
Catching up here with the Kols Ukrainian team out on the road now. Just sitting here at the back, here's Alexander Polivoda. We won't really know how the times are standing up until we get to the first check, which comes at 23.5 kilometers down the road. Six teams underway. Caja Rural will be the next team to go. And a perfect day for team time trialing. Take a look at the Spanish flag there, it's hardly moving at all. We expect to see some pretty high average speed, especially towards the last 5 or 6 teams or so. Should be around 53 kilometers an hour. Well, the team looks as though it's got itself in a nice formation here. Everybody keeping tight, gently being pushed back as and when.
Back to the Adria team.
This is the last team that's just started at the moment. Deciding which side the riders changes depends on what wind they are picking up. They tend to allow the wind to push them back.
Another minute to the start of the next team, which is going to be Caja Rural.
There we are, pretty face for Facebook.
This is the Caja Rural team with 5 Spanish riders and their Polish rider who's been with the team for quite some years now, Karol Domagalski, one of their climbers. Also Javier Armendia, Peo Bilbao, Omar Fraile, Luis Masbonet and Antonio Piedra.
4 of them coming out of the Vuelta de España, so we'll see how they've recovered.
That's what a lot of teams are going to do. I also spoke to the soigneur of the Wanty team, and they're going to tape one of the gels to the stems there, because of course these skin suits don't have any pockets, so you have to leave your gel somewhere. You can of course glue it to, or just tie wrap it to your bidon, to your bottle, but it might fall off. So most of the teams just tape one of them to the stems for the last 20-25k of the race.
Might see a good time out of Caja Rural. They rode an extremely good, they were a wild card entry into the Vuelta de España, helped by no doubt by the fact they are Spanish, but they certainly rode well. Armendia spending hundreds of kilometers in breakaways during the 3-week race.
Well, that's what they do. They were like almost in every breakaway in the Vuelta, because that's very important for the team. They have to be visible, the publicity, and having the mountain jersey with Luis Leon was the cherry on the cake, wasn't it?
Yeah, yes it was, and first King of the Mountains title he's ever won as well. He took it well. He had to attack to defend, and he did so over that last week when really he was expected to lose it, and it was never going to happen. He made sure of that. A very good race.
He's of course going to leave the Caja Rural team, which was kind of a refuge for Luis Leon Sanchez after he was not welcome anymore at Belkin. They basically bought him out of his contract because during the Rabobank years, about 3 months before Rabobank pulled the plug, they gave him a 3-year contract of well over $1 million. But then after all the scandal, all the allegations of Luis Leon Sanchez involved in all sorts of Spanish doping rings, Belkin just pulled their hands away, and he could find a place at Caja Rural, and now he's moving up to Astana next year with Vinokurov.
Nobody missing a turn here. Bit of a short one that to the front. That was Domagalski coming down to the back after a short. No, it wasn't. After a short turn.
Other team.
The wrong team. Actually, Mughali. It was coming down from Adrien.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who's been quite prolific in the continental scene, and you would expect a bigger team to pick him up, just like Marco Kump, one of their former teammates, was picked up by Tinkoff Saxo 2 years ago, basically because of his points in the Europe Tour. But since we only got 17 World Tour teams for next year, points are absolutely worthless at the moment. And that is not a good thing for these kind of riders who do amass a lot of points in the continental scene in races like the Tour of Romania, Tour of Slovenia, and also races in Qinghai Lake and the Tour of China. And Qinghai Lake is not an easy race with mountains over 4,000 meters.
Perfect line and a long pull this time for the ride on the front for Caja Rural. This stage, and it's a long way, 57 kilometers in team time trial formation. These early kilometers, you want to see the riders doing fairly long pulls to try and get them settled down. Down to the start house now. This time it's Poland about to make the start.
The CCC Polsat team, who have been doing pretty well this year. Of course, always in line for a wildcard for the World Tour event in Poland. But they also did the Tour de Suisse, and they have a guy on the team called Davide Rebellin, 43 years old. And he's currently riding in Italy, where there's 5 big races this week. Today with the Grand Prix Prato. And he wants to ride another year or two. Whether it will be with this team, I don't know, but Davide Rebellin is still very serious about his sport. He's still very focused. He's not here. We've got 4 Polish riders here, 1 from Bulgaria and 1 from Belarus. We've got Thomas Kindisch, Jaroslav Mariš, Nikolai Mikhailov, Marek Rutkiewicz, of course also a very name from the past, Branislav Samoljau, who was part of Movistar for a few years, and Mateusz Tasiak. So those are the 6 riders for CCC Polsat. They also start in order of their classification in the Europe Tour ranking. So that means that Topsport Vlaanderen is going to be the last of the Pro-Continental teams. Yeah, thank you.
So this is back up here just briefly with Caja Rural. This is the early team to make it start here, out on course, Ecuador. They're still leading the way, but they didn't look to me as though they were going that particularly well as we caught up with them just briefly there on the climb, small climb. So they're heading out towards that 23.5 kilometer checkpoint at the moment. Nobody's arrived there yet.
The team time trial is one of the best disciplines, I think, in the sport. It's technical, it's high speed, you know, all sat a couple of millimeters behind each other. It can all go wrong in a split second.
We have to always stick together. If you know, after the turn, it's going to be 2 riders in the front and 4 in the back. It's still cornering, you know. If you will not wait for these guys, then they will pay. We will pay for it on the flat part, on the straight part.
Having a Bradley Wiggins in the team or a Fabian Cancellara, obviously it's a massive plus for the team. They're massive engines, they're really strong, but that also means they can do a lot of damage. Brad can ride up a climb a lot faster than most of our team, so if he rides as fast as he can, then we're all going to be on the limit in the red, and then we can't really take the speed up and continue it, and then everyone's cooked.
Generally, you're going to see like the single line on just a long straight drag. When you see the double line quick exchanges, it's generally on like a false flat downhill where it pays to just keep the rhythm and the momentum high. It's very hard as a rider because you feel like you're always re-accelerating back onto the wheel and really putting out full force.
Ideally, you want the 6 guys to be together for as long as possible, because especially on the open road, you know, punches, things, anything can happen. But yeah, ideally, you kind of want everyone to be empty as you cross the line, and that might mean sacrificing 2 guys.
You know, of course, the fourth rider will stop the timer. So you really have to care about this 4 rider.
At the end of a 57K effort, there's not a lot you can do. Everyone's at their limit, and you just hope that your 4th guy is there and hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, some words from Geraint Thomas, for example, on the tactics of the team time trial. Yeah, we saw the women this morning from Bresvelo, and these are the men. It's a team that's started basically as a place for the Russian team pursuit to have some road race opportunities. Guys like Sergei Klimov, Ovechkin, you might know them from the team pursuit on the track.
Well, they were trained at the time by Heiko Salzwiedel, who's no longer with the squad, but he certainly produced some great team pursuiters of various nations, including Great Britain, Denmark, and indeed Australia, and latterly of Rusvelo as well. Back with Caja Rural here, the road racing specialists amongst them here, as they now try to set the best time at the first check. There's still nobody's arrived there yet. Ecuador should be the first there, although can't imagine that they'll lose 4 minutes to the second team on the road, MG Chris.
Well, not at this stage. That would be quite early.
That glimpse we saw them climbing the hill, they did not look to be going too smoothly.
Well, Team Ecuador is based in Spain, and the majority of their riders is, of course, also Spanish.
Yeah.
They're based in the south of Spain, Andalusia, if I recall correctly. And it has become a little bit of a refuge for riders who couldn't find a place in Spanish teams anymore. Which is not a very big surprise, because there's hardly any Spanish teams left.
Sign of the economy at the moment. Even the town here, the Ponferrada, was a little bit worried about the cost of putting on these championships because of the economic situation in Spain. The estimate is that by the end of it all, it will be outside the budget and probably costing around 15 million euros to put on these 12 World Championships here.
Well, the sports sponsoring in Spain was based on money, mostly from the cajas, just like the Caja Rural. They keep the savings of the Spanish people, and because they're public institutions, they also have to give back to society. And most of these bank directors, they chose sports like handball, basketball, football, and cycling to give back to society. A lot of the teams in the past in Spain were funded by the region's cajas, like Illes Baleares, Caja Rural, Caja Andalucía. But yeah, well, they don't have any money left in the Caja. So sports sponsoring is a bit of a problem at the moment. So Caja Rural is the only pro-continental team left in Spain. And then there's one continental team left with Burgos, because the Euskadi team also closed shop last month in the Vuelta a Burgos. And Movistar. So it's 3 teams, which is pretty sad for young, talented riders in Spain, because they have absolutely no place to go.
Yeah, there is a serious problem here in Spain for the future of cycling sport. As we're watching the top Polish team here, CCC Polsat.
Beautiful orange. Next year we're going to have another orange team on the road with Roompot Orange, an initiative by Michael Bogert, Erik Breuking, former Dutch pro cyclists. They've already got 14 riders signed, another 4 are expected. And they're going to be a pro-continental team next year with only Dutch riders. For example, Johnny Hogeland signed a contract with that team.
Yeah.
Well, this is the other Dutch team, Rabobank. 3 Dutch teams at the start line here.
It's 23 kilometers. This team has just gone through with a 27.59, and Rabobank have bettered that with a 44. And already they've taken it through the 50 km/h barrier there. Rabobank, they've gone 51, almost dead, as we see the departure of the Wanty group.
Yeah, we've got 6 Belgians on this team with Francis de Greef, formerly Lotto Belisol, Tim de Trooijer, Thomas Dugant, the only French-speaking rider on the team, Jan Gijsselink, Kevin van Melsen, of course, he speaks French too, and Frederik Veugelen. Yeah, the Wanty team is doing quite well in the Europe Tour at the moment. They're 3rd, just behind Cofidis and Topsport Vlaanderen. And coming down from 29th place last year, they really did improve themselves, which meant that they got an invitation to ride this team time trial event, and it's a first for them.
Well, let's see how they go. Starting to move into some of the bigger names. The next one to go will be Topsport Vlaanderen. We've seen them warming up. They've been warming up for over half an hour now. As we'll watch again the Polish setup here of Polsat. Strong team around Eastern Europe, and indeed racing in the Asian countries as well. Always come away with good results. So Rabobank, last team through at the first check, already into 51 km/h, 27 minutes and 44 seconds. Next team due there should be the BDC Mark Pol. Six-man teams, and at the time always taken on the 4th rider to pass through the checkpoints. Absolute concentration required here, as we saw in the women's race earlier. A mistake by the lead rider, crashing into the barrier, and taking out the whole team as they approach the last kilometre of the race. Just under halfway to the first check for Polsat.
So the next team at the starting ramp is going to be Topsport Vlaanderen Baloise, as their full name is. Topsport Vlaanderen, a team that's been around for 20 years, I think. And really big riders, from Tom Bonen to, well, whoever not coming from the Topsport Vlaanderen development team. It's a state-funded operation. The riders get a good salary. The mechanics, the soigneurs, they all get a good salary, and they get the opportunity to gain experience. They also keep some older riders on the team as road captains, where other development teams like BMC or Bissell or Rabobank, they stick to under 23 only. But they have some very experienced older riders on the team to teach the younger ones in the races, especially in races where there's no radio communication. They are the direct link between the sports manager, who is Walter Plankaart, also a very famous name from the past, very big cycling family, the Plankaarts. So they are the direct link between the management and the riders.
Here's Mark Poole coming up to that first check, 23, and going through. They should be setting the best time. A little bit of a surprise here against Rabobank, but they've done it. They've gone through 16 seconds quicker, 27.28.
This is really a big surprise. I must say that, of course, we mentioned the names of the Rabobank team last year, with 3 riders who've turned pro now, with Sepuntke, with Zabel, for example. And here we see the rotor equipment, the flow cranks for Topsport Vlaanderen with, of course, Eddy Merckx bikes. And this is Stijn Steels.
Well, Merckx himself, the great cyclist from Belgium, has always supported Topsport Vlaanderen. And been happy to see the youngsters progress through the sport as well. They're underway anyway. See what they can do, because Mark Poole, that represented a half a kilometre an hour quicker than Rabobank over that opening 23 kilometres.
They have Victor Kampwaerts on the team. He is the U23 time trial champion in Belgium. Pieter Jacobs, Yves Lampaert, the guy who's going to Omega Pharma Quickstep next year. Edward Teuns, Gijs van Hoeken, who we know from the track racing. And Jelle Vallijs, who is one of the 2 brothers. Jens Vallijs is going to be with Topsport Vlaanderen next year. And Jelle hopes to leave the team to go to another place. possibly a World Tour team, but it's quite late on in the season to find a place there. But yeah, they have quite a prolific generation at the moment. If you look at the U23 team of the Belgian national team for the race on Friday, well, they have some very big names on that, and they had to leave a lot of very good riders at home, because they have, just like the French have with the pro cyclists at the moment, the Belgians have an incredible generation of U23 riders coming from Topsport Vlaanderen and also from the Lotto Belisol development team. So we're going to see some more very impressive Belgian races in the years to come.
4 teams through at the first check of the 29, and we are waiting to see the start of the 12th team, and it should be Team Europcar next to go. This year became a World Tour team. And then one would expect to see the times get that little bit quicker as we get into what are the Formula One teams, if you like, in the world of cycling, the teams that automatically ride the World Tour events and the Grand Tour races such as the Tour de France. Rustvelo out on course at the moment. 2:05 is Solomennikov coming to the back, having done his stunt at the front, and Sergei Klimov is setting the pace now.
Well, it's quite remarkable, Phil, that we only have 5 pro-continental teams. None of the big pro-continental teams like YAM Cycling, Team NetApp Endura are here, which of course with guys like Sylvain Chavanel, who was on the Omega Pharma Quickstep team for the past 2 years, is kind of a shame.
Yeah, MTN Quebec, another team that was very proud to have made its debut here in the team title last year, also choosing not to come, but again, they're just coming off the
they
Vuelta de España.
Yeah, they were incredibly tired.
Which isn't surprising. They finished all 9 riders in the Vuelta, first African team. And this is Cost team coming through now. And again, another surprise being dealt out here by the Coles team. 27:10 puts them on the #1 position at the moment. And that has really pushed up the ante as far as the speed goes now, because they've done the first 52 kilometers per hour average to that point. And that's a full kilometre an hour plus, quicker than Rabobank in 3rd place. There should be Europcar now in the start house, and the man nearest camera is
the man
Dan
with the beard.
Craven. Yes, indeed. Dan Craven, he looks very fearsome with that beard. He's the only Namibian cyclist entered in the World Championships.
This is Jimmy Angouvant. He's more of a prologue specialist. He won the prologue in the Tour of Luxembourg like 28 times or something.
3 actually, but you're quite right. He wins it all the time, yeah.
We also got Jérôme Cousin, Romain Guillemois, one of the young riders on the team, Christophe Kern, and Yannick Martinez, one of the sprinters on the Europcar team. So they don't have really their elite cyclists, but well, do you know any fantastic time trialists on the Europcar team anyways?
No, but they sent a good team, and it should early on set the roads alight. Ongovon's a very good short distance time trialist. You might find 57 kilometres a bit much. Divided by 6, it's getting down to the prologue distance, I suppose.
Here's the Wanty Group Gobert team with Tim de Trooijer here in last wheel.
Well, 2 surprises there, already gone through the check, and Colts at 27:10 is a pretty good mark, and I doubt that Adrien Mobile will marry up to that, but you don't know, because just behind Adrien Mobile is Caja Rural and Polsat. And they should be getting quicker, in theory, as we head towards that 23 kilometre point now.
A very tall rider. In 2nd place is, of course, Francis de Greef. He's done 11 Grand Tours, finished many Giros, always around the 20th position mark. He comes from Lotto Belisol, like half of this team comes from a World Tour team. Also Frederik Veugelen from Vacances Soleil. And Jan Gijsselink, who was part of the HTC Columbia outfit. Yeah, they've been training on this discipline just like the Topsport Vlaanderen team on a military air base in Belgium. They just rented that place for an hour just to work on relays work on positions, who's where when. Because unlike the women, the men don't really have a lot of long time trials in the season, so they need to train on that. Here Frederik Veugelen, one of the very loyal domestiques on any team basically, and he's been alongside Björn Leukemans for well, almost his entire career. He's always willing to work for any team he rides for. Thomas de Gant, one of the new signings for Jam Cycling, because he's going to leave this Belgian team for an adventure in Switzerland.
We will see what they do when they continue on towards the first checkpoint here. Next team through should be Adria Mobile, and they can't be very far away now from that point. 52 kilometers now for Colt Cycling, still holding the top time at that checkpoint. Europe car has started, and the next will be departing for the last time in the World Team Time Trial Championships, Team Cannondale, who will merge with Team Garmin Shaw next season, with a name yet to be decided. Pretty long turn on the front here, I must say, at the moment.
Well, the trick in team
Team
time
Detroit.
trials is to do shorter turns and just keep the speed up instead of doing very long turns, but that's up to the individual
Well,
teams.
in the race of this distance, if they start doing that, I think they'll destroy themselves. Adria Mobile coming through, third best time at that point, 27:29. As our camera creeps back up the start straight here, we'll pick up Team Cannondale, Maciek Bodnar, Alessandro De Marchi, who's a very, very good climber, Mikael Koch, Christian Corren, Alain Marangoni, and the renowned Peter Sagan on the far right of our picture. They get the countdown. Sagan had a, let's call it an undulating Vuelta de España until in the end he did retire from it. We're not too sure where he was going. He tried a couple of times to win stages. Wasn't the Peter Sagan of old. He's never won stage in the Giro d'Italia, but he has in the past won 3 stages in the Vuelta de España and 4 stages in the Tour de France. But he's been honing his form, we believe, for this week. So we'll see how he's going with the team, and he's just got underway. It's a very strong team, Cannondale, as I say. Riders going different ways as well as the merger. Sagan himself leaving the team at the end of the season anyway.
And Alessandro De Marchi signed a contract with BMC. Maciej Bodnar follows Sagan to Tinkoff, just like Sagan's brother Juraj and Ivan Basso. Michel Koch, Christian Corren and Alain Marangoni haven't found a team as far as I know. But there's a lot of nervousness at Cannondale, not only for the riders who haven't found a team with big names like Oscar Gatto, Marco Marcato, but also of course for the staff, the mechanics, the soigneurs, the team managers, because a team is not only 24 or 25 or 26 riders. Usually there's about 40 to 50 staff members as well who are on the lookout for a job now.
A wide swing there to let the team through, but he's tagged onto the back nicely, waiting for the arrival of Cajal Rural. See how impressive they are against the best time here so far, rather surprisingly by Colts. Still about 10 minutes away from the checkpoint for Russ Velo here. These are 7 men who seem to have it nicely organised just at the moment.
And we're back to Topsport Vlaanderen, where, like I said, they had a really, really good season so far, winning a lot, being on the podium a lot, and they are the solid leaders in the Europe Tour at the moment. Many riders going on to World Tour teams. Yves Lampaert on this team is going to be with Omega Pharma Quickstep. He's also a very good time trialist, just like Victor Kampenaerts.
Let's see how Cahuril's doing then as they come up to that checkpoint here. They're aiming at 27.10. It's going to be very, very close here. They might just slip behind, but only by fractions as they go through. 1.74 seconds behind Cahuril, slotting in second position there. 27 minutes 12 seconds.
Next team, FDJ. That's probably the longest sponsor in pro cycling, the French National Lottery, with William Bonnet, David Boucher, Mathieu Ladagnou, Johan Lebon, Laurent Pichon and Jérémy Roy. 6 riders. They didn't have a really good Vuelta this year. Last year they did with Pinot, with Kenny Elizonde winning a stage. This year they were a little bit invisible. But they're off.
Run by Marc Madiot, himself a great cyclist in his turn.
Yeah, one of the great moments last year in the Tour de France with Madiot out of the side of his car window, going absolutely ballistic.
Screaming his head off at the time. This year his team has really projected Nancy Bouhanni, but as a result of becoming a superstar, Madiot and Bouhanni seem to have fallen out now, and so Bouhanni out of the World Championships as a consequence. He'll be moving on next year, not surprisingly.
Well, he's been riding Kermesses. It's like
nothing else to do.
Yeah, that's the only race he can race. So he's riding Kermesses in Belgium at the moment, Nacer Bouhanni. And last year, of course, he was very successful in the Tour of Beijing. But he did an interview in L'Équipe, the French sports paper, and Madiot was not particularly happy with the criticism that he got, because Madiot clearly favours Arnaud Démare on the team. Well, that's what Bouhanni says, of course. And well, Arnaud Démare got French champion and Bouhanni got second.
Yeah, they've both got pretty much the same tally, 10 victories for Démare, but of course 2 sprinters coming together, one getting a big price tag and wouldn't agree new terms with the team here next year.
Movistar.
Yes, could be an interesting result from Team Movistar. They carry here the British rider and Commonwealth Games time trial champion Alex Dowsett. He also won last year's time trial stage 18 it was of the Giro d'Italia. Wasn't too happy being omitted from the races, especially the Tour de France this year, by the team, but I suspect he would like to put this team on the podium today.
Yoni Zaguirre, he's the Spanish national champion, though not on the time trial. So he's only wearing his road shirt because, surprisingly enough, this year Alejandro Valverde was the national time trial champion in Spain, but he's not here. Oh, doing a little relay, little arm swing there. I don't know if the commissaires are going to agree on that one. It's a thing that you do on the track in the medicine. And the two CCC Polsat riders did that together. And of course, that is not allowed. So it's going to be interesting to see if the commissaire actually saw that. Because I remember last year in Luxembourg when Danilo Hondo did the same thing with Bob Jungels at the foot of the final climb, the final stage in Luxembourg City. Jungels got a penalty for that, and he lost the overall classification. Jascha Sütterlin, very interesting rider on the Movistar team as well. He is, of course, from Germany. He's a very good time trialist. And the link with the team is that Movistar rides German bikes this year, Canyon, after having ridden 20 years, 25 years on Pinarello, even back from the Reynolds years. So they have a German bike and they have a German rider. Sometimes these agreements aren't being made.
Looking at the wheel here of Adam Hansen, who's now ridden 10 consecutive Grand Tours, and he got a lovely stage win.
That was a really cool stage win, that one.
It was a really cool stage win in the Tour of Spain. It's the Lotto Belisol squad. He's a very, very good time trial rider. He'll slot in here. He's a strong man. Adam comes from Cairns in Queensland. And the team made up of Lars Bak, Vegard Breen, Adam Hansen himself, Greg Henderson, another good sprinter here from New Zealand, Pim Lichtart and Maxime Montfort. This could develop, it could be a fighting time when they get through to that first check. Hansen nearest camera.
Yeah, Adam Hansen told me last year at the Lotto Boilisol press launch, the team presentation, that riding Grand Tours keeps him sane. Because, well, they basically tell you 3.5 weeks in a row what you have to do, what time you have to be at breakfast, what time you have to be in dinner, what you have to do in the race. And it keeps him from thinking, basically. Because he's a bit of a thinker, very intelligent guy he is.
Makes his own shoes, and he's, when you go to visit him in his room, he says the boys say they're going to the office when they go to see him. Very much the man that heads up the team there. Back down from the helicopter, we're looking at the wanted group again. As we now wait for the next rider to hit the finish line, TCC Polset. Well, we didn't see them go through. We saw the start of Lotto Boilisol, but in fact they just have, with the best time of 26 minutes and 22 seconds. That's pushed the ante up now to 53.6 kilometers an hour.
Incredible speed
Wow.
so far. Of course, they still have to hit the first climb at this point after 23.6, but the speed is up. Here, Europe car with Romain Guillemois, one of the young guys on the team, and Jérôme Coussin coming to 6th position. Yeah, they have been struggling in the World Tour this year, especially because of the size of their roster. They have to, they've had to cancel races because they normally they can't do a 3-race schedule because they have to race the World Tour. It means that they have to cancel some other races because the World Tour and the Coupe de France is a priority for these French teams. So that means that they have to cancel other races, like for example the Tour of Luxembourg, which in itself is a 2-point HC, so hors category race. A lot of points up for grabs there, but they just don't have the depth and the strength of the roster to race in 3 places.
Well, Dan Craven in here, the man with the big beard. He rode his first Grand Tour for them this year when he completed the Tour of Spain. And we're going back out to see Russ Velo coming through here. Polsat now in the fast frame there, as you can see. And again, Russ Velo has done a very, very good ride here because they've only just gone outside rather the time, which is incredible. As we take a look here at Amiga Pharma Quickstep, as they warm up, the defending champions and the only champions since the team time trial was put into being 2 years ago. But that's an interesting ride by Russ Velo, 26.22.
And here are the defending champions, Omega Pharma Quickstep. They are here with, of course, a very strong team with Tom Bonen, Michael Kwiatkowski, Tony Martin, Pieter Serry, Nicky Terpstra and Julien Vermoten.
Formidable lineup. They've lost Peter Velits. They this time changed teams.
And
Peter's
Christophe van der Wallen.
helping them last time. Christian van der Wallen as well. So we'll see what happens. It might make a difference. It might not. This is Team Europe car now. Well, Polsat and Russ Velo delivered 2 26-minute, 22-second rides at that first check. Ridden, of course, virtually identical, 1600ths of a second the difference between the two of them at that point. Europe car. So we go back again to the main start house here. This time we're looking at Garmin Sharp. They'll become part of Cannondale, or the other way around, whichever way you see it, next year.
With the Tour of Britain winner Dylan van Baarle, and that victory got in a last-minute call-up for the national team on
I think he deserved it.
Sunday.
I really thought he would have lost that the Tour of Britain in the time trial, and nothing could have been further from the truth. He actually lost a little bit of time, but defended it well. So the result is at the World Championships now.
Van Baarle leads the way out here. Also special agents Jack Bauer, Tyler Ferrer, Sebastian Langeveld, the Dutch national road race champion, Ramonas Navadauskas, who has been on a roll lately. Just watch him on Sunday, and Andrew Talansky.
Jack Bauer, the man who was caught in sight of the finishing line in
heartbreaking
the Tour de France. Even he thought he'd made it until, and it would have been a first ever stage win for New Zealand as well. out on course again now, as we must as we get down to the start. It'll be the Lamprey team next to go. We're catching up here with Cannondale. This is Peter Sagan's team. He's 166 if you catch a glimpse of him, sitting at the back at the moment.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see next Sunday, Phil, what Peter Sagan is going to do. Of course, he's got a very small team, and well, his form has been on the up, on the down. It's not been very impressive. He was very, very impressive in the Tour de France, but he was so impressive that he couldn't win because nobody would give him just an inch.
That's right.
And you can be too good to win, and that's the case with Peter Sagan.
Well, last year he won 22 bike races. This year he's won only 7. And the last time, in fact, was the National Road Race Championship in June. He hasn't won since then.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
It's a long time for him, I have to say. He hasn't.
Of course,
he hasn't travelled well since the Tour de France ended.
Of course, he didn't do the North American tour. You know, Tour of Utah, Colorado, Tour of Alberta, where he won a lot of stages last year.
Yep.
Of course, won the Grand Prix de Montréal last year as well. And he did the Tour of Spain, the Vuelta, instead, and couldn't win there. So that really influenced the tally. But yeah, it's been a tough few months for Peter Sagan. But he netted a really big premium contract with Oleg Tinkov nonetheless.
Or maybe he's just thinking of that now. We'll see. This is the first. This is MG Chris come through, and we've had just only one rider through at the 49-kilometer check. This will be the second. And they go through with the best time, 58.52. So inside the hour for the 49 kilometers almost. 58.52, just inside the 50 kilometers barrier there.
Back with Wanty Groep-Gobert, with Francis de Greef leading the way here. One of the tallest riders in pro cycling. He goes towards 1 meter 95. One of the tallest is Mirko Servacci, who's also on the team. And I think the tallest rider is Irishman Conor Dunn, who is 2 meters and 2 or 3 centimeters. I once saw a picture of Conor Dunn standing next to Samuel Dumoulin. Well, that was a sight. Lamprimerida then, with winner Anacona, Mattia Cataneo, Roberto Ferrari, Nelson Oliveira, José Serpa and Rafa Valls, the Spanish guy on this team, led by Christian Matzin. Of course, not a very renowned time trial team here with José Serpa, the guy with the mustache. But they have got one of the fastest bikes in the industry, with the Warp, as it's called.
As long as the legs are fast as well, they'll go
well,
good.
that might be a little bit of an issue.
Winner Anacona in the race here, stage winner in the Vuelta, also underway now.
You know how he got his name?
Tell me.
Well, his father wanted to name him after the Dutch cyclist Peter Winnen, you know, the guy who won on Alpe d'Huez.
Yeah.
But the guy in the registry office just wrote it down wrong, so it ended up Winner instead of Winnen.
I heard that tale.
That's
actually.
a true story. Yeah. I'm not making it up.
I would absolutely believe you. Peter Winnen finished third in the Tour de France on one occasion.
Yeah, those were the days for the Netherlands.
It was indeed.
Glory years.
Alpe d'Huez, the Dutch mountain. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be back next year, the Alpe d'Huez in the Tour de France parcours.
I would think so.
Cannondale, one of their last races as Cannondale. Well, the team might be called Cannondale next year. They're taking the bikes to the American team. Still waiting for a contract on Carmin is Phil Gaiman. Very interesting rider. If you ever have the time and ever want to read a really good cycling book, just pick up his book, because it's a really nice history of the continental scene in America and what it takes to become a pro cyclist. Very affable guy, that one.
Waiting to see if Kos are keeping the pace up at the 49 kilometer point. They're not here yet. Vis has gone through with 58.52. Kos are setting still at 36 kilometers the best time, 42.41. And we're waiting for the first of the World Tour teams to arrive.
Here's Topsport Vlaanderen. Are they going to have the fastest time at the first time check? Looks like it.
Well, it's going to be close, but Rusvelo was setting the marker here. It's about to change by nearly 8 seconds, 7.5. 26.14 for Topsport. So they should be pretty pleased with that at the moment. Wanty went through with the 5th best time. Now out around the vineyards. I think that should be seen as a pretty good time by Topsport. That is nearly 54 kilometers an hour.
Really mind-boggling speeds they get here.
Yorko, I think, will be hard pushed to match that, because they're next to go through that first check. And then we start the procession with Yorko of the World Tour teams.
The next team after start ramp are, in my opinion, one of the contenders for a medal. Track Factory Racing, of course, with multiple world champion Fabian Cancellara, but also with Christophe van der Wallen, who's been part of the Omega Pharma Quick-Step team for the past 2 years and past 2 titles as well. Very curious to see what they can do.
Well, FDJ are getting themselves into a fast-looking rhythm here as well now. They're riding 4 minutes behind Cannondale. Lotto Bellasola chasing them.
Here they are, Track Factory Racing, with here Fabian Cancellara, also Marko Irizar, Jaroslav Popovic, Jesse Sargent, Jasper Stuyven. Very great call-up for the first-year pro, and Christophe van der Wallen, his Belgian compatriot. Yeah, Jasper Stuyven, one of these products from the Axel Max Trek Livestrong development team, now called Bissell. He didn't take the normal route in Belgium of going to Topsport Vlaanderen and become a pro there. No, he took a plane across the Atlantic Ocean, went to America, and had a really good first season with Track Factory Racing. So good even that Fabian Cancellara personally asked for Jasper Stuyven to help him in the Spring Classics. Well, that's something if Cancellara comes up and say, well, can you please ride with me?
FGJ now just gone through. Cajo Rural's gone through best time at 36 kilometers, 42.33. But I think if Polsat and Rusvelo are keeping the pressure on, and they had a little bit of a buffer of almost 50 seconds on Rural, they should be setting the new marker very, very shortly now at that point. Looking for the start of the 19th team. That'll be Giant Shimano next to go. Trek Factory have gone, sadly without the effervescent Jens Voigt, who's just set the world hour record as a farewell to the sport.
Well, so he says.
So he said, but I think he means it.
I think he means it this
he
time.
tells me his legs are telling him he's got to stop. 43 years of age in a day, and he sets the world record. What a way to retire from the sport.
Yeah, that was quite an event, and also quite a marketing event. Very well put together by Trek. So many people around the world saw that. And it's just like in Formula 1. They now got the constructors' title for fastest bike. And it's now up to the likes of Fabian Cancellara, Tony Martin, Bradley Wiggins maybe even, to try and to take that hour record back. 51 kilometers and a few hundred meters from the top of my head.
Well,
This is the Bradley Wiggins fan club.
Yeah. As the Sky team warm up here, and hoping that they can produce the goods here that will take them up a notch from third last year to the gold medal. The team when it comes out will be Kirienka, Cataldo, Puccio, Sitsov, Thomas and Wiggins, the 2 British riders, Thomas and Wiggins. And this is now the Rusvelo squad. Yes, it is, isn't it? No, sorry, we've gone to the finish line. This is the arrival of Ecuador coming through. And this will be our first. They've stayed away on the Chris team. Has been gaining on them all of the way. 57.1 kilometers. There's a little bit in disarray, checking where each of the riders are, but the fourth man who gives them the time as they come in first to finish, first to start. Ecuador in with a time of actually they're still 150 meters out here. We'll stay inside the 112 marker as they fan out across the road. And 1:11:38.31 sets the first marker.
Average speed almost 48 kilometers an hour. So expect to see the top three go well over 52.
And in that first check now, BDC in the third check rather, Mark Pole have gone through ahead of the Rabobank development team with the best time with one stop at the finish line to come. 57.49 is now the best time there for Mark Pole. Giant Shimano underway here at the start house, and just literally over the road we've seen the arrival of Ecuador. Nicolas Arndt, Tom Dumoulin, Chad Hager, Marcel Kittel, Tobias Ludvigsen and Jorg Predler.
Well, they have got some good time trial firepower in this team. Of course, and many will not know that Marcel Kittel used to be a time trialist before he was scouted as the world's fastest sprinter.
This is Chris coming up to the finishing line now. Should be significantly quicker. They weren't that far behind the arrival of Ecuador. Collected most of 3 minutes on them, I think, here. 2 minutes. And a 1:09.6.8.
Yeah, Marcel Kittel used to be a time trial specialist. And also Tom Dumoulin, of course, he might as well end up on the podium this year on the time trial on Thursday. Of course, probably being second to his arch nemesis, Tony Martin, again. And Chad Hager is a good time trial specialist. Tobias Ludvigsen, of course. So, yeah, Team Giant Shimano have a pretty good team here for the event.
Well, meanwhile, at the second checkpoint, Roosevelt have gone through with the best time at 41:17. Now, they were locked on the same time as Polsat at the 23-kilometer check, and they've now pulled away by 32 seconds. Polsat holds second place, 32 seconds lost in that sector. This is Cannondale coming through now.
Still together, 6 riders here from Cannondale. And Lotto Belisol.
Expect 1 or 2 giant turns, I'm sure, from Adam Hansen and Greg Henderson here.
Well, he's really a crowd favourite, isn't he, Adam Hansen?
Very much so.
Such an affable guy. He found his girlfriend on the Lotto Belisol team. Isabelle Beckers, she's part of the Lotto Belisol women's team, just like Tony Galopin has found his girlfriend Marion Rousse on the same team.
Yeah,
so that's another advantage
champion
of having World Tour teams with women's teams as well. You keep it in the family.
There's Hansen going through, number 143. Followed by Breen, and at the back here at the moment, Pim Ligtard had an excellent well to the Spaniard. Lots of breakaways for him there. Looks to have recovered well. No more news from out on the course at the moment.
Pim Ligtard here, the former Dutch Road Race World Champion. He did so in his first season with the pros. He's been with the Verkanseleit DCM outfit before going to Lotto Belisol. And though he hasn't renewed his contract yet, it's widely expected that he will do so very soon, because he really has a good time on the Belgian team, being the only Dutch rider there. Then the other Dutch team on the road, the last of the 3, this is Belkin Pro Cycling. They are going to have a different name next year with Rick Flens. This is Martijn Keizer. They also have Stef Clement, Wilco Kelderman, Maarten Chalingi, and the one non-Dutch rider, Robert Wagner from Germany. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit hit and miss with Belkin, because a lot of these riders, they come straight from the Vuelta. So they have had a tough 3 weeks with Kelderman, Keizer, Clement, for example, Robert Wagner too. So yeah, whether you keep that form, you keep that little bit of momentum from the Vuelta, or you're going to be incredibly tired, like for example the MTN Quebec guys are.
Rabobank Development heading up the home straight here, and at the same time Colts has gone through with the best time at 49 kilometres, 57.44. And sticking to plans, Carural were fast than them at the previous check. There's a couple of teams behind them at the 49 kilometre mark. 1:96 is the best time at the finish at the moment. To see if Rabobank can get the better of Chris. They were quicker than them at the earlier checks, only by a few seconds if they'd held on here. And it's going to slip away from them. They're racing for second place now. As they come through, they'll get easily into second place with a 1:09. Just about. (1:09:30.96).
One of the youngest teams at the start line here, of course, a development team with Piotr Havik, Lennart Hofstede, Marijn Korevaar, Sam Omen, Martijn Tusveld, and Ivar Slik. And we're going to see Ivar Slik next year at Belkin. The other 5 are going to stay for another year at in the development ranks. They're all very, very, very young. Job well done. And over to Garmin Sharp.
Yes, and they're team time trial kings. They've won their fair share of team time trials around the world, especially when it matters. Once the champion team of the Tour de France. Let's see what they can do here as they settle into the ride. They've got some good firepower on the squad.
With Tyler Farrer here, he's going to MTN Quebec. They've been doing some really interesting signings, the South African team. Matthew Goss, Theo Bos, Edwald Boasson-Hagen, Tyler Farrer.
A lot of sprinters on the squad there.
Yeah, and they're going to throw overboard all the climbers, like Linus Gerdeman going to Cold Energy, and also Sergio Paradilla, who was top 20 in the Vuelta, is going to leave the team. They're going all sprinter next year.
Adria Mobile dropping to third now at that 49 kilometre check, so they're dropping away from any hope of a podium finish as Colts pull away from them there. We've had 6 teams come through at the third check of 4, and Adria Mobile 1 minute and 3 seconds slower off the pace. One of the most experienced teams on the road here now, Garmin Sharp. Looking to me as though they're getting themselves into a very nice slick lineup.
Zelensky, of course, he had a stellar Dauphiné, winning it on the last day, and then everything went
not such a stellar Tour de
not
France.
so stellar Tour de France. That was
Sadly
really heartbreaking to see him sit there on the guardrail, getting back on the bike and leaving the Tour de France in the end anyway.
Astana
got a very Eastern Europe oriented team here with Fominik from Kazakhstan, also Alexei Lutsenko from Kazakhstan, Andrei Grifko, Jacopo Guarnieri, Tanel Kangert and Liewe Westra for the Netherlands.
still waiting for Carural to get to the 48.9 kilometre checkpoint.
They should be there any minute.
Yeah,
or else they took a wrong road probably.
Let's hope not. It's not easy to go off this course, I must confess. Barriered for the riders, as we're seeing now again, continuing the trend here. But Garmin Sharp, I have to say, look to be pretty smooth at the moment. We could be seeing our first real class time there once we get through to the 16th team to start as we continue to take the start house. We're down to the 22nd team, BMC, the next team to go.
Some lost riders from the MK Swiss team. Some dropped riders, I should say. They're not lost. They did find the way to the finish.
Yeah, well, you're allowed to drop 2 and bring 4 home. This is the Colts. This is rather the Mark Pole team. Also lost 2 men on the running. They finished there. Went through the check at 57.49.
Blue is really in fashion in cycling kit. There's a lot of blue out on the road today, including this pretty nifty Argyle team. I wonder what they're going to do with the Argyle next year with the Cannondale green.
Well, they can't lose the Argyle.
No, it's going to be very Kermit-like.
Be in there somewhere.
It's going to be Argyle Kermit. They're going to lose the bikes though.
Yes.
They're not going to be on Cervelo next year, because Cervelo is going to MTN Quebec. It's also behind the screens. The bike manufacturers are going. Caja Rural is losing Vivelo, the Bulgarian brand, and some other are just changing bikes too.
Well, Caja Rural, you mentioned them, and there they are. Best time, they've come through now 48.9 kilometers with 57.35. And that is the best time by 9 seconds over the Cols cycling team, who are now bound for the finish. Haven't arrived there yet, so we go back out and pick up Lampre Merida.
Yeah, they signed on Rui Costa for another 2 years, I think. That's a pretty good signing. His bosom buddy, Nelson Oliveira, is in this team. They're like a Siamese twin on the road, always together, Nelson Oliveira and Rui Costa. Also Italian sprinter Roberto Ferrari, known for his hazardous sprinting. Well, can't deny that. And this is a great posture on the bike. And here is the Coles team then.
Well, this is a pretty good ride by Coles. And this is going to see a reshaping of the leaderboard, I think, because we haven't seen the Mark Pole team come in, so they must have been caught by the Coles team for 4 minutes out there.
Well, we saw some riders of Mark Pole come in.
Some of them, I don't know where they were, but they're not on the result report. We saw 2 of them, yeah.
So they must have finished somewhere, but maybe transponders were gone or broken or...
Well, we'll see. We've got no time for Coles, for Mark Pole, but we're going to have a pretty quick time. The best time is 1:09.6. That's the time to beat. There it is, of Ries. And they're going to be well inside this. They've led at every check of this early part of the grouping. And this is going to give us a new time here. Inside 1 hour, 9 minutes, convincingly there. 1:08.27, and the new leader's time. And Mark Pole has just come up on the board, 4th of the 5 teams to finish so far, with a 1:10.21.
Well, the Italians can leave the hot seat area in favor of this team from Ukraine.
That's a big achievement by the Ukraine team there, 1:08.27. Shouldn't be challenged by the next team to finish, but they will be challenged by Caja Rural, about 7 minutes out from the finish, as we go down to the start and see the departure of Team BMC.
One of the riders on their team, Peter Velic, the Slovakian national champion. He's been on the Omega Pharma Quickstep team for the past 2 years, holds 2 team time trial world titles already. But to be frank, it's not expected that BMC is going to win this race. They have Rowan Dennis here, new recruit coming from Garmin, Sylvain Dillier, Daniel Os, Manuel Kinziato and TJ Van Garderen.
Meanwhile, Lampre stick to the guns here. They are riding some 20 minutes ahead of BMC's departure. We've gone up the road here. Reference on Cannondale. They're behind Team Cannondale. Caja Rural not far away from the finish. This is at Garmin Sharp here. And this is the first check for Garmin Sharp, and they're not firing at Cannondale's time. Has gone through with a 25.43. Slotting in only third place with 26.03. So Cannondale setting the trend from the World Tour teams. FDJ are in second place. 55 kilometers an hour for the top two teams at the first check. That's really accelerated the odds there now. Although Belisol only going through in 7th place at that first check as well.
Europe car being the slowest of the World Tour teams, currently in 8th. Garmin Sharp with powerful Dylan van Baarle. Before he became a pro with Garmin Sharp, he won the 2 national titles in the Netherlands in the U23 category, both in the road race and in the time trial. Arriving solo in the road race, that is, not in the time trial. Of course, he did that solo. Anyways, a very big, talented guy, and winning the Tour of Britain was unexpected, but very well deserved. He rode for every meter of that one. Supported by a great team, I must say there.
Well, Top Sport, the new trendsetters at the second check. They've just gone through 41.15, knocking by only 1.28 seconds. Rusvello off the number 1 slot there. And this is Rusvello we're looking at here at the moment. And they're heading now to the check at 48.9 kilometers, and they are aiming at Polsat. They've pulled away from Team Polsat. And they go through here, and they will be setting best time again for Top Sport to aim at, who are 8 minutes behind them on the road, on the start anyway. 56.02, the new best time there. Well inside that 57.7-minute marker there.
Next team on the ramp is Team Katusha, with Maxim Belkov, Pavel Brut, Vladimir Gusev, Vladimir Izachev, Vyacheslav Kuznetsov, and Gatis Smukulis, the only non-Russian on the team. He's from Latvia.
Having a great season, Team Katusha. Team winners in the Vuelta a España. 4th place finish with Rodriguez.
And they just signed Portuguese rider Tiago Machado from NetApp, which is a pretty good addition to the team. Overall GC specialist, was with the NetApp Endura. The Bora team next year, we're focusing more and more on the German-speaking part of the world, with riders from Austria, Switzerland and Germany itself.
Still Cannondale at the 36.2 kilometer check. They've just gone through and knocked Top Sport off the top, and quite considerably so as well. So 10 seconds quicker than Top Sport. And the Coles cycling team coming home. This should be the new marker for the moment. Adjumobile is in. Going to hit the line. They're for them. Fan out here. They've been doing very well, leading the way through the checks in their turn. 1:8.27 their time.
It looks kind of smooth in all black, the Track Factory Racing team.
So at the first check, Lampre are now approaching that first checkpoint, and we'll see if they can hitch up with the time of Cannondale, 40.25. Second check rather, at 36.2 kilometers.
Michael Irizar there in last wheel, the Basque rider. He doesn't have a Spanish flag on the Track Factory Racing bus. Neither does Jaimar Zubeldia. They have a Basque flag in front of their name. Very proud people from País Vasco.
Lampre just gone through there. Only 7th at the first check for Lampre. 43 seconds off the pace, 26.26.
Here they are now in pink and purple. Very remarkable that their Filippo Pozzato is not going to be riding here on Sunday. Was second and third in the Italian races last week. So he's on good form, but the Italian national coach did not give people a call.
I'm sure he wasn't too happy about that. Now let's just see here what Cajarural can do here. It should be a new best time. We saw the Coles team finish with 1:8.27 to set the marker, but Cajarural have been consistently just a few seconds quicker than them at all of the checks. They've got less than a minute, but that's plenty of time to get up the home straight here. This will be the leaderboard for Cajarural and the hot seat for a short while, I fear, as the four of them come home. Special applause from the crowd here in Ponferrada. They're just about going to scrape inside, are they? Yes. Oh, just 1:7:59.55 for Cajarural. First team to get inside 68 minutes. Brief stop at the podium on the way through for the Coles team.
6 more teams to take the start. The next one is Âge Desert, La Mondiale. They should be leaving right about now as Cajarural comes in. There they are, with the brown bibs, with Bouet, Damien Gaudin, Alexis Gouchard, Patrick Gretsch, he's here, and Matteo Montaguti, Sébastien Turgot. And Turgot, Gaudin, they are the Spring Classic specialists on this team. Gaudin being a very bulky frame, very big rider. And he's there in 3rd position at the moment, Damien Gaudin. They both come from Europcar. So that's what the French normally do. They just switch out riders between them. French riders hardly ever go across the border to foreign teams. The Wanty team still down to still with 6 riders at the moment.
They're heading out to the 3rd check on the race at the moment, Wanty.
Thomas de Gant taking the lead as Francis de Greef lets go. Then Tim de Trooijen, Van Melsen, Veugelen and Jan Gijsselink. Former Belgian pro cyclist Thierry Marichal is one of their team directors today.
And they're sitting in 3rd place at that check there as we get out to Trek Factory Racing here. They'll be the next team to pass through the first check of the day, where the best time is still Cannondale, and according to the reference here, they're over half a minute down on Cannondale at the moment.
It's 29 seconds slower than Cannondale, with Cancellara leading the way. He is not going to ride the time trial event on Thursday. He set his sights on the rainbow jersey on the world title on Sunday.
I wouldn't discount him at all. He's been very close in the past, and it's the one title he's never had. He's been Olympic and world time trial champion. This is Polsat coming in, but I think they've lost a little bit too much to Cajarural. Aiming at 1:7:59, but it is a long way up this home straight. Or have they pulled out something special as they start to line up here? Because there was no, the check, they were 57.35 for Cajarural. And Polsat had reversed it at that check, and they're going to reverse it here as well as they come up now. And that is a very solid ride by CCC Polsat as they come in with a 1:7:6.75. 53 seconds just about. And Rusvello, remember, they were actually getting away from Polsat at the last check. They were 45 seconds quicker, so we can expect that time to last not very long at all. Just until the arrival of the next team on the road, Rusvello. Still Cannondale at the first check, who's leading from the top teams coming through. Trek Factory Racing going through 29 seconds off the pace there. This is Tinkoff Saxo, who have now left the departure house here with Michael Andersen, the champion of Denmark, on the road. Daniela Benati, Manuela Boro, Chris Juel Jensen, Nicholas Roach, and the 3 times world time trial champion Michael Rogers from Australia. They are underway now.
Yeah, they've got their roster for 2015 complete. Tinkoff Saxo, Evgeny Petrov was the last one to sign a new contract, meaning that Roach and also Rory Sutherland and Marco Kump are not going to be part of the team next year. Neither is Karsten Kroon and Nicky Sørensen, who are both retiring from professional racing.
Marseille's Desjeux went through at the second check, but didn't get over the top of Cannondale, missed by 7 seconds. So Cannondale still lead at that second check of those that have reached it. There's 14 teams gone through so far. This is Giant Shimano.
With Tom Dumoulin in last wheel, he was second in Quebec, he was second in the Tour of Alberta, he was second in the Eneco Tour, and he's probably going to be second in the time trial on Thursday again, where he's going to meet Tony Martin again. It's absolutely been a breakthrough year from the guy from Maastricht, all the way in the south of the Netherlands. And he's here with Germans Kittel and Arndt, also American Chet Hager, Tobias Ludvigsson, and Austrian rider Georg Preitler.
Well, Rusvello, by the way, have just gone 2 seconds ahead of Top Sport at the third check. They reversed the deficit there. It's a pretty close battle, that. This is Giant Shimano comparing themselves with Cannondale at the first check and going into third slot, 25.53. Nineteen teams through at that first check now. And this is going to be a new time as they hit the line. We just got back there in time, 1:06.14 for Rusvello. So they kept the speed all the way to the end. That's a very good time. There's another view of it for you. 4 riders using the minimum to finish, with the 4th man getting the time. They were having a 2-second battle all the way there, locked in with Top Sport Flandre. They're still to finish, of course. 1:06.14.
With Ilnur Sakharin here in first wheel, the winner of the Tour of Azerbaijan. He was away with Linus Gerdeman, and they made a little bit of a deal in that mountain stage. Linus Gerdeman won the stage, and Ilnur Sakharin won the overall classification. Doesn't
Giant
speak a
Shimano.
word outside of Russian, which makes it a little bit difficult to communicate with him. But those are journalist problems.
Rusvello still the best time at the previous check as well, which they held on. Top Sport 2 seconds off the pace. They're in the hot seat now, but Top Sport will be a few minutes before they come in. We'll
First
see the
Wanty,
wanted team come in, yes, first.
unless they've been overtaken, but that would be really bad.
I don't think that's possible. They should be in a good couple of minutes before.
Here's Movistar with a very solid lineup here with Andrea Amador, Alex Dowsett, Imanol Erviti, Joni Zagire, Adriano Malori, and Jasja Suterlin. And this is, yeah, a pretty solid team.
Adriano Malori, national time trial champion of Italy. The man that won the last stage of the Vuelta time trial. And there'll be big support for this team because they too had a very, very good season. Three teams left to go. They are the medalists of last year. Gold, silver and bronze. Bronze will be Team Sky. They'll be next. And they're rather hoping they can actually step it up just a little bit this time around. They're certainly fired up for it. Looking down at Belkin at the moment. 9 teams in at the finish.
Belkin here with Martijn Keizer. He's a very late pickup for the team. He was already down to a continental team in Belgium, and then somewhere in March, I think it was, he got picked up. He got a call from Richard Plugge, the manager of this team, say, can you please come and ride with us? And he just signed a new contract with the team that's going to be called Lotto next year, to make matters a little bit more confusing with the Belgian Lotto as well.
Well, still no changes out at the Cannondale, still holding everybody off at the second check as well. Garmin have come up and gone through. They're 16 seconds down. Lotto have gone through. They've lost 1:31. See the Belkin squad here. They're heading up to the first check now, and they can't be very far away from it.
Robert Wagner, the sprinter, the German sprinter in last wheel. Then Wilco Kelderman, of course, he did a stellar Giro d'Italia. Came in 7th, I think, from the top of my head.
A little bit tired towards the end, but he's an exceptional young man.
He's going to be with the team for the years to come, just like Robert Geesing, Kruiswijk, all the big GC riders. They, of course, lost Bauke Mollema to Trek, but that's okay. Very narrow corner there.
Very narrow, sort of disjointed their turn a little bit there, but they seem to have got it back together again. They're approaching the check at 23.5 here. The best time remains at 40 minutes 25 seconds by Cannondale. Now we'll see if Belkin can match that. They look as though they're pretty determined just now. The clock will tell us that, well, the clock's not going to appear, is it? Might on the next bend. Here we go.
Here's Belkin, led by Stef Clement.
Oh, dear me. 11th place, 57 minutes off.
Not good at all. I was just going to say, led by Stef Clement, who was on the podium once of a individual time trial event quite a few years back, and he's been linked to Jam Cycling. He's been linked to that team. And here's the arrival of the Wanty Group Gobert team, led by Thomas de Gant in first wheel. Then De Greef, they're down to 5. Tim de Trooijer is there, Kevin van Melsen, and the last man is probably Frederik Veugelen.
Should be about a 68-minute ride here, I think, for the Wanty team.
They lost Jan Gijselink, former rider of HTC Columbia, and they're going to just beat the time of Caja Rural, the Belgian team, led by big Francis de Greef in the middle.
Yep. Hit the line 1:07.37 for Wanty. Next team in, though, will be Top Sport, and they were only 2 seconds apart at the last check with Russ Velo. So these boys won't be too relaxed. We'll await the arrival of Top Sport Vlaanderen. Wanty currently sitting in 3rd place with that ride.
Hard ride here. You can see the foam, like the frothing around the mouth there, Francis de Greef. And here's Tim Sky. Are they going to be on the podium today with Dario Cataldo? This is, of course, Bradley Wiggins' new ride, his new Pinarello in the British colours. Also, Geraint Thomas from Wales, Sivtsov, or Sietsu, wherever you come from, Salvatore Puccio and Vasil Kirienka. That is the team for Sky.
Well, Wiggins is underway in 2nd place there, quickly through the gears, riding the bike which he won the time trial stage of the recent Tour of Britain.
Well,
he
said
was
that
the defending champion there.
He said that it gave him confidence, although it was quite a short time trial in London. It did give him the confidence, especially with regards to the individual event on a Thursday. And who knows that he can contest Tony Martin. You never know what's going to happen on the day.
He's pretty confident. He says he's confident, believes he can.
Well, that's the first step towards success, believing that you can do it.
Showing Astana team out on course at the moment. They're the next team to come through the check, where Cannondale are still defying all challenges. FDJ are 21 seconds down. Giant Shimano 21 hundredths down. Giant Shimano 10 seconds down at that first check. Again, that corner really does disrupt the formation of the team there.
It's pretty hard to climb on a time trial bike. The thing is much more rigid than a normal road bike. So that's why sometimes you see in the more undulating time trials in the Grand Tours, for example, that they're going to do a bike switch. Of course, they're not going to do that here. No. But climbing on the drops, it's not really the drops, but you can't be in the aerodynamic position as you have to be in a time trial. You have to sit up a little. Here's Topsport
This is the
Vlaanderen.
one that we should see. Only fourth at that point, by the way, for Astana as the 4 riders come up. We need the clock, but it's catching out with all these time checks along the road. 1:06:15, I think, is the time. They will have lost it by 1 or 2 seconds. 1:06:15. 48 hundredths of a second. Well, that is amazing. That was a terrific fight back by Topsport over those last kilometres. The last 7.9 kilometres. They were 2 seconds down and they've lost the top spot by 48 hundredths on the line. So they're not going anywhere except breathing a sigh of relief there.
2 more teams to take the start ramp, to take the start in this time trial. And then we'll know who's going to be fast. Is it going to come down to a battle between Omega Pharma Quickstep and Orica Green Edge? Or are Team Sky going to medal with the medals? And what about Trek, Factory Racing, maybe even Movistar? It's going to be a lot more exciting than this morning, Phil, where the medal was already decided before the start. But anything can happen. You can have a big crash like the women had this morning with Rabobank Live, where one of their riders, Anna van der Breggen, broke her hip, her ilium bone, and we have to rule her out of the road race on Saturday. Really, really big loss for the Dutch team.
Yeah, it's very sad indeed. Lamprey, by the way, have gone through in 6th best time now at the second check. Cannondale still leading at the first 2 checks at the moment, waiting BMC to get through on the first check as we go down here to see the start now of last year's silver medalist Orica Green Edge, Luke Durbridge, Michael Hepburn, Damien Howson, Brett Lancaster, Jens Maurice and Svein Tuft. Time trial is all, with Jens Maurice, the strong man, in the squad here as well as we start down there second from the end. And this team could deliver today as they quickly settle into their rhythm. So they're chasing Sky, invidious position perhaps, or quite an incentive for them, as the last team to go will be Omega Pharma Quickstep. Looking down at BMC, who must be very, very close to the checkpoint here at 23 kilometres. Cannondale still leading at this check with a 55 kilometre .021 average to give them 25:43.47 against FDJ.FR's 25:43.68. 2100 is the difference. Now, can BMC give us a clear indicator here? This is a terrific ride by BMC. They're going to go top of the leaderboard. They've got to go under the hill and just around this corner, but they'll do it. They've got half a minute to get in. They're going to go through pretty convincingly. 27 seconds up, 25:16. Best time so far for Team BMC.
Led down there by Rowan Dennis, who made a very rare mid-season move from Garmin Sharp to BMC. Was in the Welter, which was not a really big success for him, but he's still pretty young and has quite a bright future ahead of him. Also Sylvain Dillier, also one of those young guns with 72 there, the guy from Switzerland.
Trek Factory are warming up to the occasion now. They've gone through third at the second check. 14 seconds off best time, still held there by Cannondale. But of course Team BMC, in our camera lens at the moment, they're beginning to set a little bit of a new level on the course here. That 25:16 is going to be tough to beat, but the quality behind, I would think of that sort of a ride, Sky, Orica and of course the champions, probably the only teams that could reach that sort of a time, I would think. Waiting for the start of the last team now, Omega Pharma Quickstep. Europe car coming home here, but not going to upset the situation now. Somewhere around the 9th or 10th best time if they kept the rhythm up.
They still have got Dan Craven with them.
He's had a great season, Dan, joining the team this year.
They should keep him. They should just keep him.
I hope they do. The man from Namibia, so easily recognisable. He's Father Christmas with a brown beard at the back. An incredible character, know him extremely well.
Still got some aging to do, and then the beard will turn white.
A gentle giant, that's what he is. And Team Europe car, well, they've made an extremely good recovery here because they've climbed up from 10th at the second check of the day and crossing the line at the moment in 4th place, 1:7:21. Well, Cannondale, next team in, should reset the leaderboard for the moment as we go down to the defending champions, the only champions of the team time trial since it was inaugurated back in 2012. We're looking at Tony Martin here, a team consisting of Tom Bonen, Mikkel Kwiatkowski, Peter Siri, Nicky Terpstra and Julian Vermont.
Yeah, they're here with 4 riders that won the title last year. They added 2 Belgians, Peter Siri and Julian Vermoten. So Tony Martin, Nicky Terpstra, they've been part of all 3 squads so far. So they can both go up for their 3rd title.
If it comes.
If it comes, because it's going to be quite a tight battle here. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Well, we're waiting for Katusha at the first check to give us some indication on how they're getting on. And Gian Shimano off our camera have just gone through with the best time at the second check as we're seeing Cannondale arrive at the finishing line. And this should be a new best time. They're taking on Russ Velo quite convincingly at this point. So they've held the speed throughout, topping the leaderboard. It's being pushed back a little bit out on course, but right now Cannondale come home and it's going to be with the best time so far. They're just going to get inside an hour and 5, 1:4:58. Well, that's gone according to what they've been doing out on course, but Giant Shimano at the second check have gone 44 hundredths of a second quicker than Cannondale there. So they've got to build on that yet. The faces there of Cannondale. That's a great ride actually by the Cannondale boys. And they're going to be pretty pleased with that.
And they can leave this, picking up your stuff.
Time to go. Don't forget your towels.
Back to the bus.
Quite a convincing beating too. And a new time now of 1:4:58 for the 57.1 kilometers. And that represents an average speed of 52.729. Katusha coming up to the first check here. Looking to beat BMC, but I don't think, well, having said that, 25:16, they look as though they're coming very casually up this hill, but look at this, 51 seconds, for 7th place. Sorry, I didn't see the graphics there. So many times flying around this table. Katusha looked a bit casual, and so it proves. Slotting in 7th place behind Garmin Sharp and Astana. So nothing to worry about, and Team AG2 I think will be likewise. Be interested to see what Movistar can do against Team BMC. We've had 15 teams through the 3rd check before the finish, and still Cannondale more than surviving there. They've still got a 17-second advantage over FDJ. They had 1:05 on Rusvello at that 3rd check, and they held that right through to the finish. Garmin Sharp just arrived as well off our cameras at that same checkpoint, only 6.8 seconds now behind Cannondale, the 2 teams that will merge next year. So they seem to be gathering speed as the race gets longer.
Well, that's where stamina kicks in. That's where it really, really gets tough.
Still sticking out on course here with Katusha. Vladimir Ishachev is the rider on the back of the group. Meanwhile, at the finish, nobody's approached yet. FDJ will be the next team in. And they've been within 20 seconds all the way of Cannondale. If they've had a very good closer, there's just a chance they'll push Cannondale. Strong team required for the last 7 kilometers. This is the situation at 23.6 kilometers. We're waiting the arrival, of course, of Sky at the moment, but BMC still holding best time there. They're the top 16 places. Sky will be the next team to come through at that point. Katusha's gone through there of the 23 teams. We've still got AG2R, Tinko, Saxoff, Movistar, Sky, Orica and Amiga Pharma Quickstep to go through that first check. So BMC not safe by any manner or means. Here comes Team FDJ up towards the line. It will be not that far off the time of Cannondale, of the Cannondale 1:4:58, but it's far enough. It's already going to be around that 20-second marker. So they did not improve. In fact, they lost a little bit of time over the last few kilometers as well. The last 8 kilometers of the course. But they should slot in second place for the minute as they come up towards the line. They're well clear of Rusvello. A bit of a flurry towards the end, and FDJ heading up towards the line. Second best time just now, 1:5:34.93.
Meanwhile, some dark clouds are getting over Ponferrada. Just stuck my head out of the commentary box.
We don't want no dark clouds, but it's a beautiful sunshine where we're sat. It must be behind us, is it?
Yeah, it's over there at the starting ramp where some little few drops of rain just fell when Omega Pharma just rolled off. Let's hope it stays dry. A little bit of washing here with
Yes.
Pete Sagan. A little bit of a scrubbing.
Just in case they get up to go on the podium because they're sitting on best time. BMC pipping them quite convincingly at the first check at 27 kilometers.
Well, the next team to come at that check should be Agen-Désert.
And they are. But it seems to me as though they're not on the pace here of BMC. 25:16 was Team BMC's time. As they come up towards the marker here, they're only aiming at the 15th slot, 26:51 as they go through. So there's still 5 teams to arrive at that point who could disturb the rhythm of Team BMC, including the 3 medalists of last year: Sky, Orica Green Edge and Eagle Farmer Quickstep. "14 teams in at the finishing line now, and it is still Cannondale ahead of FDJ. Team BMC, the only team that seems to be threatening them up out on the road that we know of until we get the first checks on all of the teams going through. Katusha not threatening anybody at the moment in the top places. This is Pavel Brut, lone break expert when he wins the few races that he does win. Very strong rider.
He's going to be with Oleg Tinkov next year. Of course, Tinkov already moved the license of Tinkoff Saxo to Russia, and he also signed some Russian riders, including Pavel Brut, and renewed the contracts of some other Russian riders like Rofny and Petrov.
Belkin gone through the second check with 41 minutes 24, only good enough for 9th place.
Well, they did improve a little on the previous check.
Yeah, and that's the right way to go. Well, despite the clouds beginning to roll around the mountains, we're in a kind of a bowl here, a little plain surrounded by mountains in Ponferrada. The thunderclouds do tend to build over these hills at mid-afternoon. Let's hope it stays away just long enough to conclude this race and give everybody equal conditions. We're waiting for the last 5 teams to come through the first check. There's the clouds we're talking about. This is AG2R.
Maxime Bouet here in last wheel. They're making a little bit of a trade-off with Jan Bakelands. Belgian Tour de France stage winner last year is going to the French team to get a little bit more of a chance for himself, because on a star-studded team like Omega Pharma Quickstep, it's pretty hard to get a chance for yourself. So he's going to France, well, while Maxime Bouet is going to ride for the Belgian team. See his name there on the Aero helmet.
Yes, I remember 2 years ago in the Tour de France, his whole family turned up in Marseille to watch him finish the stage, and he fell off 50 meters to go and broke his wrist. And he spent more than the night in Marseille with his family. He spent the rest of the Tour de France there, unfortunately for Maxime. Tinkoff were not threatening BMC at the first check. 31 seconds off the pace, 25.48. So BMC at worst now will be fifth fastest at that first check, and I think that won't be the case. Movistar due through there next as Team Tinkoff Saxo move on. 24.48 for them. .21 riders through at the first check. Astana have gone through with the sixth best time now, 40.54 at the second check. Still only 14 riders to finish. Now this could shake some things up here. Watching Trek Factory Racing here out on course. They're at the third checkpoint here, and they were closing in on Cannondale, and they were getting ahead of them, and it looks as though they may have retained this. They're continuing to lead. 54.49 for Trek. Next stop for them is the finishing line, and they are the next threat to Cannondale to take them out of the golden seats. This is Lotto Belisol, but they haven't been hitting the mark at all as they're heading in towards the finish here.
Led home by Adam Hansen, also Henderson still here.
Up towards the finishing line, 104.58, and so they're way off the pace here now as Lotto Belisol come in, racing for 7th place at the moment, and they need to sprint to hold that. As they come up to the line, they drop down to 8th, where they should finish at the moment, 1:07.41. Garmin Sharp next team in, and they've been showing steady improvement out on course all of the way. Only 20 seconds behind Cannondale at the third check. Steady progress required. If they keep the progress up, they might well push up against the time of Cannondale when they come into the finish. This is AG2 Ola Mondial out on course, waiting for Movistar now to reach the first check. And they can't be very far away because Tinkoff Saxo have gone through there. Sebastian Turgot at the moment. As we now see the arrival of Garmin Sharp here, it looks to us as though they're down to four. I think it's 4 riders there. There's so many blue colours back of the team, but as they come around, this is likely to be very, very close to the best time of the riders here as they race up towards the line with Garmin Sharp.
With Ferrer, Van Baarle, we have got
Talansky was there.
Talansky and Langeveld, I think.
And 1:04.57, the time just went by of Cannondale. So this will be a second place at the moment as they hit the finish for Garmin Sharp in a big effort over the last half of this 57-kilometre ride. They'll get inside the time of FDJ. Second place for Garmin Sharp at the moment, 1:05.14. They more or less rode the last 8 kilometres at the same speed of Cannondale. So 1:05.14.65 for Garmin Sharp. Now we should be seeing here Movistar coming through. Now is this going to affect Team BMC? They look as though they've got a nice steady rhythm. Steady might be the operative word though, as they're coming up towards that checkpoint. The time of BMC, which has already gone through, was 25.16, so that's well past now. So BMC are now going to have to contest against Sky, Orica and Amiga Pharma Quickstep for the rest of this race to see who gets the bronze and who gets nothing. That's the way it appears now. Movistar go through 23.52, which puts them in second place at the moment and just about 4 seconds better than Cannondale at that point. Giant Shimano coming through at the third check here, and they've been reshaping the leaderboard. They're chasing the Trek Factory squad at the moment. Are they going to continue to improve as well? They're looking very, very good. 54.49 is the Trek time. And they stopped the clock, only second in the end. Look at that, 2900s. They've reversed there. My goodness me, they were 14 seconds better, and now they've gone less than a second behind at that check.
That is quite a serious demise in that.
It's incredible. 54.49. Whereas Giant Shimano have slowed down, it looks to me as though the Trek boys have held the rhythm nicely.
This is Trek versus Tinkoff with the real-life GPS time comparison. Most of the riders here riding either a 55 or a 56 up front, and the usual configuration at the back is 2811. So that's some really big gearing.
Well, they might need it because BMC off our camera has just gone through that second check. 39 minutes and 34 seconds. Best time, 54.8 kilometers an hour. Ahead of Giant Shimano at that point by 50 seconds now, and 51 seconds ahead of Cannondale. So they're really pushing on now, Team BMC. They've really found the rhythm out there. Three teams coming up to the first check of the day, the three medalists of last year. We're watching at the moment Tinkoff Saxo. 19 teams through at that check.
Michael Rogers here at the back, like you said in the introduction, Phil, 3 times world champion in the individual event. And I think he also holds an Olympic title. But I'm not sure about that.
Well, Michael Rogers from Canberra has done just about everything, and I think you're right. I think he is the Olympic champion.
I think it was one on the drawing board that he got because the winner got suspended.
Well, that was one of his world titles. That was David Miller, who was disqualified
Wasn't
for
it Athens?
drug abuse. He was third in the time trial in Athens. Michael Rogers. I don't think he's ever been the Olympic champion. This is Lamprey coming in now, and it's not going to affect the riders that we've just seen at the moment coming through. BMC leading at the second check. They're yet to reach the third check. This is Lamprey coming in.
With Jose Serpa, the guy with the mustache. Very recognizable man for Lamprey Merida. Comes straight up the Vuelta, Colombian rider.
Pretty good climber, and he's not a bad team time trial rider as well, but it's not going to put them in the frame today, I'm afraid. Aiming at the fourth time of Grosvelo, and they are comfortably slotting in fourth for the moment here for Lamprey. Had a great Vuelta de España, 1:5:59, fourth place. Next team to arrive there will be Trek. As we watch Lamprey finish here now, Sky are getting must be getting very close to the first check of the day.
12 more teams to finish, so let's wait and see what happens there.
Well, the next team that's due in, I'm afraid, might take the smile off the faces of Cannondale, because we're waiting for the arrival of Trek at the finishing line, and they're leading at the third check as they get there. This is Movistar heading towards the second check at the moment.
With Andre Amador, the guy from Costa Rica, but he has a Russian mother,
And I can tell you, we're looking at Movistar, but Sky have just gone through that second check in only, and I say only, second place by 4 seconds behind Team BMC. That's a little bit of a surprise, but it shows you now the quality of that performance by BMC, who are only 2 teams due through that second check. Sky looking for 4 seconds there. So 25-20 for Team Sky. 2 teams to come, Orica and OPQ. And we're waiting now for the second check. We've seen the second check, which is BMC is still holding a best time there. Movistar have yet to make the second check. Now this might be a new best time here as they come up towards the line. Trek Factory Racing have kept the rhythm going well here. Fabian Cancellara, the man with the grimace on the face there, who's won more time trials than you can care to remember. Olympic champion, world champion 4 times. Coming up towards the line now, slips up the gears, looking for the best time.
In second place. The Belgian time trial champion. He's now leading the squad home.
And look at the time here, because it's going to be a best time. 1:4:58 of Cannondale. Trek fan out, 4th man will stop the clock. It's going to be a beating and a new leaderboard here as Trek come up to the line and fan out now. It's going to be a best time, 1:4:31.32. So they continue to gain ground at all of the checks, and the only one challenging them now is Team BMC. We've still got 3 teams to arrive before Team BMC.
4 finishers for Trek Factory Racing, of course, with Fabian Cancellara, Christophe van der Walle, also Marco Irizar and New Zealand time trial specialist Jesse Sargent. Those are the 4 to the finish for Trek Factory Racing, and Cannondale can pick up their stuff and go back to the bus. Hit the showers.
Very welcome they might be. Movistar coming over the rise of a hill here. Waiting for BMC to get to that 3rd checkpoint. Belkin's gone through. Astana will be next there. And then we will see BMC coming through to see if they've kept up that momentum. Also waiting at the first check for the arrival now of Orica at Green Edge. Tricky little course when you're in team formation. Movistar referencing on BMC, 22 seconds off the pace. Well, that would be about right, but in fact they're closing in if that is the case, Movistar, after the first time check.
They were down a little bit more than the 23 seconds that's indicated here. So they're getting into a rhythm with Alex Dowsett there in 3rd place. He is still without a contract for next year on this team. It was a very remarkable move 2 years ago, leaving Sky for Movistar, but he's a very important member of the team time trials. And of course for the time trials on its own, just like you said earlier today, winning one in the Giro last year.
Yeah, well, there's so many riders. It's a mainly Spanish team, and maybe he feels a little bit out of it. There's Fabian Cancellara. He's been sitting in the hot seat many times throughout his career as a time trialist. Usually stays there till the gold medal.
Probably got his own Wi-Fi code already for the hot seat.
We'll see if he can stay there, because that's a very, very good ride. BMC are obviously ahead of them at the checks, but we're still waiting now for the 3rd check on Team BMC to see if they've kept it up. At that 3rd checkpoint, it's still Trek beating Giant Shimano and Cannondale. BMC has not arrived there yet. Astana heading to that 3rd check, where Trek Factory are still waiting for the arrival of BMC. They're down to 4 men, a long way out from the finish here. They've still got 8 kilometers to go. 6th place. This is Movistar looking for the 2nd check. And we're also awaiting Orica at the 1st check as well. Orica Green Edge just gone through the first check and only fourth place, 24 seconds off the time of BMC. BMC are doing a ride here. 25 minutes and 40 seconds for Orica Green Edge.
Who knows, it might be Peter Velits in the end getting his third consecutive team time trial title, because they really put in quite an amazing ride here at Giant Shimano at the finish line. Well, almost, not yet.
Well, they were locked at same time as Trek at the last check. Same time and split by hundredths of a second. 1:4:31 has gone though, so Trek keep it as we're watching them come up to the line with a time of 1:4. Giant Shimano just about going to hang on, or are they to second place at the moment? They should do, but it's going to require a desperate sprint to get ahead of Cannondale as they come in at 1:4. Oh, and it's going to be close, but they're going to do it. 1:4:56. So just one team left to arrive at that first check, the defending champions. And Team BMC, who've always enjoyed a love affair with the team time trial, are turning out the ride of the first sections. That's for sure at the moment. Here comes the Omega Pharma Quickstep. Now, what have they done as they pass through? They're aiming at the time in that first check. Gone through only second. This is amazing, but they're 46 hundredths off the pace of BMC. Well, that is absolutely nothing. Here comes Team BMC now to reset the third checkpoint here, and they remain and will always remain the best time at the first check. We switch quickly to Movistar there. BMC holding best time and have gone through that third check with the best time of 53:37 for Team BMC. So first at the first check was BMC, second the defending champions Omega Pharma Quickstep, third is Team Sky, and fourth is the Movistar team, who look to be ever so casual, and fifth is Orica Green Edge. That's the order as they've completed the first segment of the course.
Really disappointing performance in that first segment by Orica Green Edge, who have been so close to the mark in the previous 2 years, 1 second and 3 seconds on Omega Pharma Quickstep. And of course they've beaten the Belgian team in team time trials in the Tour de France, for example, last year in Nice. So being in fifth place is not all that good for the Australian team.
Now there's the situation at that first checkpoint, and that's how it will stand. The BMC are leading the way ahead of the defending champions for the past 2 years, Omega Pharma Quickstep. In third place, Team Sky. Giant Shimano's in, so to our Garmin Sharp. 29 teams are all on course. The remnants heading to the second check at 36 kilometers just now. Situation at the finishing line is Trek are holding best time, 1:4:31. 25 seconds better than Giant Shimano, as we catch up with Team Sky here, and it looks as though we only got 4 riders left.
There's only 4 of them left, which is
Well,
of course
Sitso, the ever
here.
reliable, Cataldo, Kirienka, and Brad Wiggins are the only ones that are left.
Geraint Thomas, of
Well, where's
course.
Geraint Thomas?
Well, he crashed a few weeks ago.
He did, it hurt his hand.
And he rode in Canada with I think it was not a cast, but it was a bandage of some sort. And he said, well, yeah, I've been selected to ride the Worlds, and I'm talking about the road race on Sunday, and so I am going to ride. But we also saw in the Canada races in Quebec and Montreal that Geraint Thomas was not really the Thomas that we know, and he got dropped here together with Salvatore Puggio, the Italian rider.
Well,
So that's still a long way to go with 4 riders. They're even halfway, just over halfway.
They've still got to get to the 36 kilometer check here, and they're still a little way off it, to say the least. So this is going to require heavy turns from the man at the front right now, Bradley Wiggins. Try and keep the morale amongst the 4 riders left. It's all they can hope to do here.
Here's Orica Green Edge with Brett Lancaster
on the back.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. They've still got their 6 men, and maybe they'll improve, remember, because they're sitting just off the pace, Orica.
They're here with Luke Durbridge, Hepburn, Damien Howson, Brett Lancaster, Jens Maurits and Schwein Tuft. So that means 5 of the riders who came in second last year, and they added Damien Howson to the lineup this year. Howson, of course, being a very young rider from 92. And this is Belkin.
Junior world champion. And looking here at Belkin now, well, the times are not going to set the finish line alight here, so it will remain status quo for the moment, with Trek staying on top from Giant Shimano, Cannondale and Garmin Sharp.
With Maarten Chalingi in the last wheel, one of the very rare vegetarians in the peloton. He eats absolutely no meat.
And they're aiming at the 6th time of Lamprey, and they should just about creep under the time of Lamprey here as they come up to the line. Just 1:05:58 for Belkin, currently 6th. Next team due in will be Astana and then Team BMC.
Kelderman finishes here. Martijn Keizer, Stef Clement.
So Sky sitting only as they go through. They're next to arrive, sorry, at the 2nd check. There is Fabian Cancellara. We'll no doubt be noting what is going on at the moment.
The press officer sitting next to him, Tim van der Jeugd. And he, of course, is doing the interview straight for the Track Factory Racing website.
Well, I hope it's not how you run the team time trial just yet.
Might be a little bit too soon.
Yeah, this is Katusha as they head up to this 3rd check as well. And again, still off the pace. They'll be surpassed by Garmin Sharp here. And probably by FDJ. Still a little way up to the checkpoint. Next team in at the finish will be Astana, followed by BMC as Team Katusha go through here, looking at the 7th place, and they get it for the moment with a 55:21 ahead of Astana, the next team to finish. Now they all managed to keep the momentum here into the 3rd check. Still waiting at Team Sky. Sky have just gone through off our camera as we look at Orica Greenedge. Sky have improved now. They've knocked Team BMC off the lead. Can you believe this? By 93 hundredths of a second. Sky now best time at the 2nd check with 39.33 and only 4 men. That is amazing, but can they keep the pressure up though all the way to the finish? At 36 kilometers though, Sky have gone number 1. Orica next to arrive at that 2nd check. And this is the disarray of Sky, or is it? Or was it just a change as we join them? Boy, take a look at the clouds now as the traditional afternoon storm is getting closer here. And well, thunder on the horizon. There might be thunder down here because Team Sky are now sitting number 1 with only 2 teams to get to that 2nd check. And if Bradley Wiggins has heard that information, it'll only inspire him even more.
Well, the wind is picking up outside, which is usually not a good sign for rain clouds coming in.
Here's Astana coming in. And again, they're being pipped at the moment by Katusha, who are still to arrive, of course. And at the finishing line, it's still 1:04:31, the required time, and that's long since gone for Astana, as they're now racing for about the 8th place here of those who have finished, which will be 21 of the 29 teams. FDJ sitting there in 5th place, but they won't quite get there. They should get inside Belkin's time though and slot in the 6th position at the moment for Astana. Yes, 1:05:42. The next team in will be BMC.
Well, their time is going to be a benchmark for the teams coming after BMC, because they have been putting down some pretty impressive intermediate time so far.
Well, we're still waiting for the arrival of the last two teams at the second check to give us a full lineup there, where Sky are now the leaders ahead of Team BMC, who are about to finish. Movistar holding third place there with 40 minutes dead. This is Omega Pharma Quickstep.
Peter Seri there in last position. Then Michał Kwiatkowski from Poland. We have Nicky Terpstra with number 5, Tony Martin with number 3, and leading the way at the moment, Julien Vermoten. He won a stage last week in Tour of Britain.
Yes, good win too. Yeah.
Solo, wasn't it?
Eventually he got rid of all the brake and he hung on to the finish. Here they come. Team BMC now swinging towards the finish. Is it going to be A, the fastest, and B, is it going to be good enough to hold off the improving teams behind? But they've given it their best shot as they race up to line with Rowan Dennis gritting his teeth. 1 hour 3 minutes on the clock. They've got to beat the time of 1 hour 4 minutes and 31 seconds. They're going to well beat that time. As they just checked, they need all 4 riders. The 4th man they want over that line as best they can. As they come up towards the line, BMC have set the marker this time for sure. They've survived well by 1 minute and 1 second. 1:3:29 for Team BMC.
Crossing the finish line for BMC was, of course, Rowan Dennis. We recognised him. And furthermore, we had TJ van Garderen, Peter Velits, and Manuel Cinciato.
1:3:29.85, the time for Team BMC. There's nobody challenging that time now till we come down towards Sky, third from the end. And that is going to be the crucial time. Now, while we're watching the finish there, at 23 kilometers, Omega Pharma Quickstep, they hold second at that check. We're waiting for them to come to the second check now. Sky still on top, but Orica Green Edge now third at the second check with 39.44 against Sky's 39.33. And BMC's 39.34. Just a second between Sky and BMC, and 10 seconds spread to Orica Green Edge at the second check. Omega not quite there yet. AG2 are coming through here, but they're way down the list at the moment. 14th place, 56.53.
Well, this team time trial is coming down to a real battle between BMC, Omega Pharma Quickstep, and Team Sky. Orica Green Edge are picking up the pace a little bit at the moment. You see at the GPS live timing that Omega Pharma Quickstep is now 8 seconds faster than the reference time set by BMC Racing Team.
Yes, that's a little bit of a turnaround as they've got themselves into the rhythm. We're actually looking here at Orica Green Edge, who are also fighting their way in back into the picture as Team BMC. Happy enough with their performance. Now take a seat and just wait. TJ van Garderen on the left of our picture there.
Also Peter Velits.
Danos was the
and
rider
this is Tom
down.
Bonen. He's growing a beard.
No, you could have fooled me.
Well, he wanted to try this for a while.
Uh-huh.
And see if it
And
suited
he likes
him.
it.
Well, I think he does. It's quite an impressive beard. It's not Den Craven-like yet.
No.
But that takes time and effort.
Well, let's see what they go. We switch here to the arrival of Tinko Saxoff at the 48-kilometer point here. There's BMC's time. They've slotted in. They split Trek Factory Racing. That's a very good ride by Saxo Tinkoff as we go back down to Orica Green Edge. Omega Pharma Quickstep not quite there, but they can't be far away now. Orica Greenedge racing on now. They're just about at the 40 kilometre point of the 57.1 kilometres. And they're 13 seconds slower on this reference to Team BMC, which means that they're actually beginning to close in on Team BMC at the moment. Rider 13 there, Damien Howson. Slots onto the back wheel of Brett Lancaster. Just ahead of Brett is Luke Durbridge. Turbo Durbo they call him. Once he gets those turbos kicking in, that boy can motor and hold easily 53 kilometres an hour. Well, Amiga has just gone through the second check with the best time, 39.25. So the champions have now got themselves to the top of the leaderboard. They were second last time. Here they are, 39.25 for Amiga. They're heading to the third check now, where BMC are still the best time at the third check, and of course the best time at the finish line at the moment. But it's all closing in at the top. And the champions still have all 6 riders here, unlike Sky, who've only got 4. As they continue to push on, this is we're back up with Movistar here. Movistar with 4th best time at the first check. Slipped away a little bit to 5th best time at the second. So it's Amiga first. Team Sky are now second at the second check. And here they are as we see them at the moment. BMC down into 3rd slot at the second check. And Orica Greenedge are in 4th place.
First 3 teams are within 9 seconds of each other, with Omega Pharma leading Team Sky by almost 8 and almost 9 on BMC. But Team Sky are quite vulnerable at the moment. They are down to 4 riders, so if they have a mechanical, they have to wait. So let's hope everything goes smoothly for them.
Well, this is Katusha coming in, and there'll be no particular prizes here for Katusha. They were 8th fastest time, with others still to arrive at the 3rd check. So for the moment, they may get the 6th best time. And they should beat the 1:06 barrier here, which will give them a very respectable time. Best time is BMC. They're aiming at the 7th best time now, just slipped away a bit. There's a lot of riders done 65 minutes. And they'll go down to 8th and challenge Belkin, and they'll beat Belkin, and they're coming for 8th at the moment, 1:05.44.
Now look at the time differences, 2 minutes 14 on BMC.
And the fact that they know.
BMC still watching here. Have they got themselves a medal? They know now exactly what's going on out on the road, and they're only holding 3rd best time, albeit by a few seconds, at the second check. This is Movistar now, who are slowly working themselves in. They were 5th best time at the second check. Have they improved on that? It looks like they have. At the moment, they slot in 3rd place. But of course, they've still got Sky, Orica and Amiga to come. 54.17 for Movistar.
Back
It's
to
the same time, by the way, as Tinkoff Saxo, separated by fractions of a second. Orica Greenedge showing signs of improvement as they go on. 16 seconds behind Team BMC on this GPS comparison. Can be slightly wrong, of course, but it's a pretty good guide. As we're seeing Damon Howson drop to the back for the moment, tag onto the wheel of Jens Muris, who in turn sits on the wheel of Luke Durbridge. Tough wheel to follow, that one.
Jens Muris riding without gloves, as he normally does. Pretty happy there with the Australian team, the Dutchman.
He's riding with shoes on, because last time he went to Australia, somebody stole his cycling shoes.
Well, he's got quite big size shoes, so hopefully the shoe sponsor could provide him with new ones.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, they look a very lonely quartet here, Team Sky, and yet despite losing 2 riders, including Geraint Thomas, who's a strong man normally for the foursome, they are more than holding their own. 3rd at the first check, 2nd at the second check. And have they held up now? Because these are the next riders to hit the 3rd check out on course. And it's been a long way for just 4 riders to live at these sort of speeds. Riding now at around 54, 55 kilometers an hour to maintain a medal position. And at the moment, escaping the deluge, which is going to come at some stage. We do have rain on the windscreen of the commentary box, albeit only a little. And Movistar here, still got 5 men.
Amador in last position. He has a Costa Rican mother, Costa Rican dad, and a Russian mother. And he's probably the only Costa Rican ever to like the Spring Classics, because that's his period of the year.
It is indeed. And the rider they've lost at the moment is the road race champion, Jon Izagirre. From this team, this is Alex Dowsett. He'll have to do some good turns here now. He is the time trial master of the team.
It was a bit of a gift, that national road race title to Jon Izagirre by Alejandro Valverde. Well.
Back out to Sky now as they head up towards. There's the time, 53.37. Are they going to go best time here? They were 2nd, but that was behind Omega Pharma Quickstep. They need to hold on to best time at this point. But it's not going to happen now, because only having 4 men as told on the quartet here. Bradley Wiggins brings them through, but it looks as though they're slipping into 2nd place. 11 seconds off Team Sky now, so BMC are going to be pleased with what they see there, and Sky are going to have to battle now just to take a medal from this race.
Interesting to see there in the takeover by Team Sky is that Kirienka was taking the 3rd wheel and not the 4th. He was not slipping in behind, I think it was Cataldo, which indicates that Cataldo is having a bit of a rough time there in 4th position, which is not a good thing, because they have only 4 riders at the moment.
Well, they're as strong as the weakest man when there's 4 of you left. Time taken on the 4th man, so Cataldo has simply got to suffer and hope he can survive. They're just 8 kilometers from the finishing line, and they're really surviving now to fight out the bronze medal position, assuming that Omega Pharma Quickstep continues with best time. Back to the finish here. AG2R coming home, and again, if they continue about a 1-7.
Huge Damien Gaudin leading the squad home. You can recognize him by a mile.
Chasing the time of Polstat in with his 67-minute ride, and 13th position here for AG2R as they line up for the finish. You can see it in the distance. It's an awful long way when you come off that bottom bend, and every second literally does count. They've split no, they haven't. I thought they'd split the foursome, but they haven't. Might just beat their rivals from France, Europe Car, but they'll have to go if they do. No, they won't, in fact, to drop into 15th place here as they come up with 200 meters to go. I think Wanty may just get the advantage over them, and maybe not. They come up towards the line. Just take 15th place, so 1:07:35. And Tinkoff Saxo coming into that same straight here with a much quicker time. Remember, they started 4 minutes behind AG2R, and they're going to be around a 1 minute 4 second ride here. They were very close up to AG2R. They'll get inside with this ride. It's going to be a very strong finish by Tinkoff Saxo.
Jules Jensen is the Danish man leading them home now, with Rogers as well. They finish with 5 here for Tinkoff, and that was a good ride for them.
Ooh, and they split Trek Factory there with a great performance, 1:04:16. They got better and better there. So Tinkoff are in. And that was a real serious effort. The face there of Michael Rogers, he brings them home, 1:04:16. The team defending their title and beginning to look as though they may. We'll have an even better guide when they get to the 48.9 kilometre check.
Well, let's hope that it's not going to rain for the last team on the road.
It's not going to be far off. It's going to be desperately close. It's a race to the finish, quite literally here. Look at this now. Omega Pharma have gone a second outside of BMC on the reference. There's a reversal here. Well, we'll get proof of that very shortly. They are about 5 minutes away from the third check. We're waiting for the arrival of Orica at that third check. Well, this is yo-yoing now, in and out. They had a great second race to the second check. They may be slowing a little bit. Here comes Orica at the 48.9 kilometre point, where they were fourth fastest at the previous checks. They're not going to match BMC. BMC will remain best time here for the moment. Team Sky is their next target, and they're closing in on Team Sky, as they have been for a while now. But for the moment, I think they'll fall behind Team Sky with 8 kilometres to go. And they're in by third place, just getting the better of Tinkoff Saxo. So third place for Orica Green Edge, 53.49, only 12 seconds now behind BMC.
We saw Michał Kwiatkowski indicating a little bit there at the last wheel of the Omega Pharma Quick-Step train, making a little gesture towards the team car, the Polish champion, former Polish champion.
Well, these boys pulled 6 seconds back on BMC in that sector of the course between kilometre 31 and kilometre 48.9. So they're still beginning to fire. They've only lost the one rider, whereas Sky are in desperate trouble here, and I'm not sure whether they can repeat now a medal, because we're looking at the very slick sextet of Omega Pharma Quick-Step, all of them still together as they race towards the third check.
And Tony Martin leading the way. Now Nicky Terpstra, who missed out on the selection for the road race team. This is going to be very tight. You see on the left screen TJ van Garderen watching the screen.
You see,
very focused. Well, they might pull it off here.
Well, he's well aware of the quality of this team. He's raced against them enough times. He knows what Tony Martin is well capable of here, and Tom Bonin there, always willing to play his part. Very strong in the welter for the team. Nicky Terpstra there, not selected for his country, but selected by his team for this event.
Third year running.
Yes.
And here you see the rain is starting to fall.
And this would make it tricky on the running. Just at the moment, these boys are 9 kilometres out from home, maybe 10 kilometres. This is Movistar now, as they come towards the finish. They've been sitting on 5th place at the checkpoints, but there are 3 riders ahead of them. So in theory, they should be challenging second place here as they race up to the line for the moment. And a very good time as Movistar head up towards the finish. They're looking at 1:3:29 best time. That's gone. 1:4:16. If they beat 1:4:16, they'll slot in second place. 200 metres to go. It'll be a desperate sprint to the line to do this. Tinkoff are in as they come up towards the line. It's just going to go by, and it'll be third slot for Movistar at the moment. 1:4:21. Wow. Well, desperate moments there. Movistar either slowed a little bit, or Tinkoff Saxo really had a fabulous last 8 kilometres there. 3 teams are left to finish now. Next in will be the quartet of Sky, still holding a second place at the second check, but dropping down to, well, still holding second, but awaiting the arrival of Omega.
Look at that, Phil. This is not good for Omega Pharma Quick-Step, and this is very good for BMC Racing Team. The difference between them on the GPS time comparison was 8 seconds the last time we saw it, but BMC are comfortably in the hot seats at the moment, while Omega Pharma Quick-Step are still out on the road, and they still have to do that descent into Ponferrada after that climb.
Well, they're the only team required, and the best time at the moment is 53:37. You can see they're inside the time of BMC here. The champions have really reversed this, but it's still a little way up, you know, and I've got a feeling that BMC might have pushed it back again and taken them off the leaderboard into second place, as Tony Martin brings them up towards the line now, as 53:37 is the time they've got to go through to get back on top and it's gone away, and so the GPS, look at the faces here. TJ Van Garderen, a smile on his face. 12 seconds reversal now for BMC's advantage.
And not to take anything out of the effort for BMC, but the roads are not wet at the moment, and Omega Pharma Quickstep have not got any problems from the rain. There might be a little bit more wind, but BMC did take that 12 seconds, did put in that 12 seconds on their own effort.
First to third, because they're only a second, I know, but it's second pushes them into third behind Team Sky, and Sky will be the next team to hit the finishing line here. And we're sitting in the sun on the finishing line. We've got a little bit of rain on our windows, but not a lot. They might just scrape in here. Team Sky can't be that far from the finish because they're 8 minutes ahead of this team on the start. So very shortly the foursome's going to be lining up for the finish. And is it going to be for a medal? Sky were the bronze medalists last year, and they've been up amongst the leaders the whole way here, having lost very early on 2 riders. Well, these boys have lost something in this second and third sector. As Tom Bonan just slips to the rear for the moment here. There's the rain on the cameras. This is going to be, because the run-in is tortuous. It's not a dead straight run-in, or it wouldn't be so important, as we saw with the incident with the women's team earlier on dry conditions. Here come Team Sky as they now drive towards the finish here. The 4 survivors, Kirienka, Sipsev, Bradley Wiggins and Dario Cataldo. This is Kirienka bringing them around the corner. They're aiming at the finishing time at the moment of BMC, which is 1:3:29. That has gone, so Sky are racing for a podium place, and it's going to be a desperate finish here for them. They've continued to drop away. They still up on, and they should beat the time of Tinkoff Saxo, as they're away to see Orica and Amiga, who will finish behind them. But they've done an incredible ride, these 4 men, to stay up amongst the leaderboard all the way, losing 2 riders early on. Team Sky come up towards the finishing line. 4th man stops the clock. They go into second place with a 1:4:07. But will it stand
difference.
a podium spot?
37 seconds, that is a huge time gap.
Well, now we have to wait to see if Orica has continued to gain time and kept their rhythm. Face on Kirienka there, Sipsev, then Bradley Wiggins in our picture. That was a fighting performance. A chat going on. Van Garderen. Two teams to finish. Team BMC have a medal, but they won't be interested in a medal. They will want the gold medal right now, and they'll feel confident as far as Orica is concerned, although they have been improving all the way here, but they'll be very, very pleased to see this. 18 seconds better than Omega at this point, and 27 up on Orica. Team BMC could have sprung the huge surprise today.
And then it's going to be Peter Velits with his 3rd consecutive title, and not Tony Martin.
He knows when to change ships, doesn't he?
Well, how wrong was I? I thought, well, he doesn't really have a chance with the BMC team, but they really did a stellar job. Well, we lose Kwiatkowski here. The BMC team really proved me wrong, and I'm happy for that, because they did a really good ride today.
Kwiatkowski off the back, it's a bit surprising he's gone on. He's given his all there, but the team is not quite on top form here. Peter Velits, the rider in the middle, having a chat and a drink at the same time, non-alcoholic of course, as he's the man that left Omega Pharma Quickstep last, not yet, maybe champagne in a few minutes, and joined BMC, and he could be sitting on his 3rd straight medal, and that's all you can get in gold in this discipline, because this is only the 3rd team time trial championship. This is Tony Martin here, hot favourite for the time trial. Will have to come up against Bradley Wiggins in that competition in a few days' time.
I think the wind is becoming a little bit of a factor here for Omega Pharma Quickstep, because we saw the clouds rolling in, and that automatically comes with more wind. And also, if you look at the flags here in Ponferrada, I think the wind has become a little bit of a problem for these last teams out on the course. But of course, we're going to hear their reactions later on after the finish. But I see that Patrick Lefevre has already turned to Twitter saying that the wind killed us. So He's already got an excuse for that.
Well, the rain has come with it, of course, but it's just about being held off here. So we're waiting for the arrival of Orica. This is the 1 kilometre point. It was just on that bend where we had that big crash in the women's event, which robbed the Rabo Liv team certainly of a medal and put 2 riders out of the championships. Orica Greenedge coming up at the moment. Have they done enough and continued to improve? With only 2 teams left to finish here, they must really ideally sit in the silver medal position to be sure of a medal. 3rd place, I don't think we'll see them do it.
Tuft is here, Durbridge is here. All the strong riders of the Orica Greenedge squad are now coming into the finish straight.
They grit their teeth, they checked over, they're down to the last 4 men here. They could do with doing a time at the finishing line of a 1:4. They're team with a real chance. It's going to be very, very close. They've continued to improve here. Orica Greenedge are pushing on. They're aiming at Team Sky. They've been building as they race up to the line. It is bronze medal at worst now because Orica Greenedge slot in 2nd place with a 1:4.01. Well, they were building at every checkpoint and they kept their 4 men together, emptied the tank right on the line, and 1:4.01 puts them behind BMC, who now know that they've got the silver and looking more and more likely they may have the gold.
They finished with Luke Durbridge, Michael Hepburn, Damien Howson, and of course biggest engine Svein Tuft from Canada.
Yeah, Sven's a tremendous athlete, especially when it comes to time trial. These boys beginning to smile, and look at the tense moments for Velits there. He's such a modest guy. I've known him since he was a young professional in South Africa. He was brought up and educated in Johannesburg, and boy, he's just saying to himself, have I got a 3rd gold medal? Have I made the right move to join BMC and leave this team with whom he won the last 2 team time trials? This is Tony Martin there.
Oh,
boy, my goodness me, that's not good.
Oh, that's on Orica.
That's going to make us all very nervous now.
That's on Orica. It's not on BMC.
Oh, that's on Orica. Good point. They switched, doesn't it? Well, I'm sure that Farmer is going to be quicker than Orica. Indications have been all of the way, unless they really have cracked up. The rain is just about holding up. Someone's got a huge blanket pushing it skywards here to try and keep these roads dry as we run in towards the finish, because this descent here is very, very tricky. It runs us down to the last kilometre, and it's where we had the accident in the women's team time trial. So they're going to be cautious down here.
Yeah, this is already a little bit wet, and this is not doing anything good for Omega Pharma Quickstep. I think BMC have got it in the bag. Look at the caution they're taking the turns here.
I'm sure BMC will hope you're right, but they certainly won't share your sentiments just now. It is going to be very close. 1:3:29.85 BMC Racing Team are in. It's an American squad. The American flag will fly again. And maybe it'll be a Swiss flag on this occasion because of the sponsorship. But Orica Greenedge in 2nd place and Team Sky holding 3rd. Now once we get off this run-in and then the roundabout here, and you see the nervousness applying, here's the 4th man they've got to wait for. That's where the clock will stop.
And the 4th man is Tony Martin at the moment.
Taking no risks here, but this is costing 1, maybe 2 seconds, and probably the gold medal. That's the tricky corner where we had the crash skimming. Oh, this is coming up now where we had the crash coming off the barriers just there.
And that it all goes well. Tony Martin, of course, has to be careful. He has to be here on Wednesday again. So it's a little bit of trying to get your team to the best possible result, but also thinking a little bit of your own time trial on Wednesday.
Well, he's driving at the front there. Peter Siri is the rider just behind him as they race up towards the line. Nicky Terpstra, 4 riders now can go for it. The 5th one can drop off, but he's not going to. They're going to finish 5 of their 6 men here. Now, what is the clock going to tell us? As the rain a little bit coming down, but not too heavy. 1:3:22. When 29 hits, they've lost the title they've held for 2 years, and Team BMC will jump for joy as they can now, because this is for the silver medal. And 1:4:01 is the time of the silver medal of Orica Greenedge, and Omega Pharma Quickstep are going to handsomely take second place here. But on this occasion it won't be good enough for gold, it won't be a three-peat, and Team BMC have landed the big one today for sure. Omega Pharma Quickstep briefly held the leaderboard at the second time check and then fell away.
Silver. They're not going to make silver either.
As they come up to the line, silver has gone as well. And they get the bronze medal of 1:4:05. BMC are the champions. Orica Greenedge, just like they did in the women's race, they converted to silver in the end, and Omega Pharma Quickstep, the champions, finish in third place. The finishing time 1:45.07. Well, what a tremendous finish. 37 seconds the spread across the top four finishers and 35 seconds across the top three. The face of Tony Martin. It all went wrong. I think it cost them the silver, the descent to the finish and the rain, which just greased the surface a little bit too much. And there is the celebration. Team BMC have got the gold medal. Number 75 there, TJ Van Garderen, will be absolutely delighted for the work of the team on this occasion. So Rowan Dennis, he's only just come across this summer, just before the Tour of Spain, to join Team PMC from Garmin Sharp. Very unusual to swap World Tour teams. It was done with the blessing of Garmin Sharp. He wanted to ride with BMC and the management, and the result is he's now a gold medalist here in the second event at the World Road Championships. BMC get the victory over Orica Greenedge. Omega Pharma Quickstop taking third. Garmin Sharp notably there finishing in 10th place. Sky unlucky fourth there, only four men. Tinkoff Saxo doing a good ride to take fifth, and Spain's Movistar team getting the sixth place slot. As we give you all 29 of the finishers here. But what an incredibly exciting race that really was, because at one stage it looked as though Omega Pharma Quickstep were moving in to the slipstream and getting things right. They led by nearly 7 seconds, 8 seconds on Team Sky at the second check, and third was BMC pushed down. Then came the third check at 49 kilometers, actually 48.9 to be precise, and BMC Racing were back on top. Omega had lost 12 seconds to them in that third sector of the course. Quite amazing. The face there of Peter Velits as they crossed the line. And then for us all to see at the finish, Team BMC, who started 22nd of the 29, next year they'll be starting last of the field.
TJ, congratulations. How's your feeling now?
It feels incredible. Man, the team we were confident, but we were nervous coming into this, and man, we just, man, we're world champions. I mean, what more can you say?
Yeah, and you topped, I mean, the favorites. I mean, Omega, Sky, the big ones.
Yeah, I mean, a couple years ago in 2012, we were 2 seconds off the win. So, you know, we had that in the back of our mind for a couple years now, and we knew coming in that we had a strong team. It was just a matter of everything falling into place, and we just went out there, did our thing, stayed calm, and we delivered.
How was the course with these three climbs?
It was good. I think it suited us perfectly. I mean, it had some good flat sections, a little bit of technical sections, some long straights, a couple of climbs. I mean, it was a dynamic course, and you know, you had to be strong on all fronts to win this.
Can I say that it's a great gift, farewell gift for Cadel?
Well, I mean, Cadel, he wasn't a part of this winning team, but yeah, I think he'll be really happy for us, and I'm sure we'll get a message from him tonight saying congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The American TJ Van Garderen, white jersey winning the Tour de France last year, and still a very young man with plenty of promise, lives in Aspen in Colorado, and I'm sure his family will be delighted with what they've seen today. Tony Martin moving away there. They won't be happy, of course, with their third place, having won the title in the last two outings. But by the same token, they'll still be on the podium in third place. Martin will be planning to be much higher up the podium in the men's elite time trial. So Team BMC with an average speed, by the way, of just short of 54 kilometers an hour, 53.954, beating Orica Greenedge, who took the silver in the women's event and have now taken the silver in the men's event, which is followed a couple of hours later. Amiga Pharma Quickstep third, Team Sky fourth. So the right teams made the medals, the order wasn't quite expected, so well done to BMC. The only other two times have attempted this, anybody's attempted this. They finished fourth last year, the unlucky fourth, which Sky occupied this year, and second in the first time we had the awards in 2012. As we heard TJ say there, they were disappointed then with second, and this has put matters to right. They are now the Trade Team World Team Time Trial Champions. 31 seconds over Orica, 35 Amiga, 37 Sky. Very, very close among these top World Tour teams. Last time we'll see Cannondale in World Champion results as they merge with Garmin Sharp. Funnily enough, pretty matched, 9th and 10th place for the two teams that come together next year. Topsport Vlaanderen.
Nestling 17th place, so beating three World Tour teams with Europcar, Agi Desert and Lotto Belisol, who had a really bad day today. And Team Ecuador were the first team off the start ramp, and they are the last team on the results list.
Well, the rain is coming, although I might have to tell you it's actually going at the moment, because the rain has stopped right on the finishing line. I think it's gone across the town and up the other side of the mountain, so it may have just skimmed around us and stayed away, which was rather unfortunate for Amiga Pharma Quickstep, because I think it probably cost them.
Yeah, that and
there.
the wind.
The wind got up a little bit when the rain was threatening. The wind did rise, apparently. Just that little bit. And when you're racing for just 1 or 2 seconds, as they were out on the course, anything like a wind is not going to help. 29 teams taking the start today. Ecuador first team to start. And BMC starting because they weren't seeded 22nd of the 29. Next year, of course, they will start the last team off, chasing Orica, who will in turn be chasing Amiga Pharma Quickstep. So Orica Greenedge are having a wonderful mid-term at the moment, with 2 wins in the races in Quebec, with Simon Gerrans winning Quebec and Montreal. And now they've come here and got 2 silver medals in the team time trial, so they're going to be very happy with life so far here in Ponferrada. Little view down
they've got
of
some
the Seal River there.
They've got some very impressive riders in the U23 as well, with Caleb Ewan, Robert Power, and why not Tiffany Cromwell for the women's road race, and of course the huge favourite for Sunday, Simon Gerrans.
Well, one thing I will guarantee you, we will talk about Tiff Cromwell. She's such an aggressive bike rider.
She will attack. I guarantee you that.
Yes, she will. The face of Peter Vellich when he finished, of course, he didn't know he was going to be the man to have 3 gold medals in this discipline.
He's the only man to have done so. 2 women did so this morning, with Evelyn Stevens and Trixie Warrack on the Specialized Lululemon team. So 3 riders hold 3 time trial world titles.
That's right, because it's an inaugural event in 2012. Now we're just waiting for the prize presentation here before we end our coverage for the day of the World Championships from Ponferrada. 7th time. We've been in Spain in 81 editions of the World Championship, so only the 7th time, I guess we should say. All began in 1965, fairly recently really, in Lestat near San Sebastian. Montjuic near Barcelona in 73. Then Barcelona itself took over in 1984. Benidorm, that must have been quite pleasant with all the English holidaymakers in 1984. Benidorm, sorry, in 1992, and San Sebastian itself in 97, and then in Madrid in 2005, which is about 400 kilometers from where we are at the moment.
Where Tom Bonan took the world title.
He did indeed. Yes, well, you would remember that, wouldn't you?
Of course.
Yes.
Well, it's been in the media a lot.
I
Of course,
should imagine
doing a lot of
that. And Tom looks
retrospective.
to me as though he's got himself in terrific shape for these championships as
Yeah,
well.
but they had got
remembering his
a-
last visit.
They're in a bit of a problem with the Belgian team. They've got 3 pretty strong riders, with Greg van Avermaet doing particularly well at the moment, winning 2 races in Belgium this week. So, and of course they've got Philippe Gilbert as well. So who's going to work for whom? That's the big question in the Belgian national team.
It's always the question, isn't it, at World Championships? It's the only time that the riders, apart from the Olympic Games, represent the country rather than their trade sponsors. Here it was the trade sponsors in the team time trial, but from now on they'll pull on the colours of their country, and you never know who's on whose side.
No.
Because you have to forget your relationships with your teammates, like today. Peter Velits will become a rival, for example, of TJ Van Garderen or Daniel Oss, and yet together they just won a gold medal.
Well,
We'll
that's
see.
on Sunday. First, we've got some very exciting time trials for all the categories to follow: junior women, junior men, the U23 men, and then the elite time trials for both men and women. Tomorrow, the junior men, where the winner of last year died tragically a few weeks back. He was caught by a train, and the Belgian Federation asked the UCI if number 1 was not to be given out tomorrow. So nobody's going to start with number 1, because that number was meant for Igor de Krane.
Yeah.
Very sad story. The guy was only 18 years old, and
with everything ahead of him. He was offered a place with Amiga Pharma Quickstep. Absolute tragedy.
so that's tomorrow, the junior men and the junior women time trial. But first, the podium ceremony for the elite men.
Well, it looks like we're getting some action down there. It's taken a while to get 18 riders, all the officials, the flowers, organised. But it's been a very good opening to these championships, I must say. Let's hope the weather stays with us, at least for the time trials, because building up, they did forecast rain today, and it really has only just materialized, and not that serious. Watching the finish of AG2R today, we finished in 20th place with a time of 1:07:35, and even that was a speed of 50.6 kilometers an hour. Saxo Tinkoff got better and better, the face of Michael Rogers, the 3 times world champion, Olympic medalist in the time trial. 5th place for this team in the end, and 46 seconds off the gold medal. Team Movistar coming in, 51 seconds off for them, but nonetheless, the Spanish team, they got in 6th place. And the foursome, the battling foursome of Team Sky, they gradually fell away from the big 3 as the race progressed. Had an awful long way to go with only 4 men. Kirienka always strong though. 4th for them. Amiga Pharma Quickstep coming in, staying tough as they raced up towards the line, and for them a great result. Sorry, did I say Amiga? I meant Orica, of course. 2nd place for them today.
Most of the pro-continental teams today is Rosvelo at a 16th place. Very good performance by the Russians, followed shortly by Topsport Vlaanderen and Polsat.
And some nice points for them.
For the Europe Tour.
Yeah,
Yep.
which they'll keep them in the league up near the top. Team Europe car topped the league last year and took out a World Tour license this year, and have been very, very ever present, shall we say, on our television screens all year.
Although I looked it up, they didn't really win that much, but they've been on the podium a lot.
Yeah,
They've been in
they've raced.
breakaways a lot.
A lot of time in front of the camera, which I suppose for the sponsor is very important.
But
They
they
tried
are,
desperately in the Vuelta, and it just didn't work out for them. But they did try to get on the podium. Can't all be winners, and the professionals race, they do no favours for anybody. It's a cutthroat sport. Winner takes all. And as we saw today, Sky's disadvantage, but BMC's advantage. Right, I think we can finally now go down to the podium and see the 3 medalists crowned.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention for the awards ceremony of the Union Cycliste International Team Time Trial World Championship.
Señoras y señores, le rogamos su atención para la ceremonia protocolaria de la Unión Ciclista Internacional, esta prueba del Campeonato del Mundo contrarreloj por equipos masculina.
In third place, and winners of the bronze medal, Omega Pharma Quickstep of Belgium.
En tercera posición y ganadores de la medalla de bronce, el equipo Omega Pharma Quickstep de Bélgica.
And as they come out and wave to the crowd here, I think they're putting on a brave face, having been the winners for the past 2 years. Just off to our left there, Brian Cookson, the president of the UCI, 1 year on from when he was elected here in the last meetings, which was in Florence, in Italy. Steps forward to present the medals.
Tom Steels there, former top sprinter, of course.
And the medals being presented to the team of Omega Pharma Quickstep. Tom Boonen, Mikael Kwiatkowski, Tony Martin, Peter Seri, Nicky Terpstra and Julien Vermont.
You can probably hear the voice there of Anthony McCrossan listing the riders from AG2R. Tony Martin hopes to pull on for the 4th successive year a rainbow jersey later this week as the World Time Trial Champion yet again.
You see the very small logo next to Renson on the shirt of Omega Pharma Quickstep. That is what BMC can now put on their kit, being the world champions in this discipline. And that's basically everything you get, and a medal.
And a trophy for the manager.
And some champagne.
And some champagne, right.
Las flores serán entregadas por el señor
Of
Alfonso
course,
Lahuerta,
they won't get it because this time they
de la
haven't
Junta
won.
de Castilla y León. A Julien
That's going to
Vermont,
go on the jerseys
a
of
Peter
Team
Serri,
BMC.
a Michael Kwiatkowski.
Kwiatkowski, Tom Bowden,
Y también Nicky Terpstra, con la presencia también del director Tom Steele.
just a moment during the ride when it looked as though they were slipping into top gear to win the show. Fell away between kilometers 36 and 48.
Orica Greenedge of Australia.
En segunda posición, y
So to the
ganadores de la
Australian
medalla de
team,
plata, el equipo
which is having another
Omega
great
Greenedge de
season.
Australia.
These are the 6 riders coming out now and claiming the silver medal.
The medals will be presented by Brian Cookson, president
With
of the
Maurice, Hepburn, Howson, Durbridge, Tuft and Red Lancaster.
Presidente de la Unión Ciclista Internacional.
Talking about a life story, Svein Tuft has got quite a good one.
Luke Durbridge, Michael Hepburn, Damien Howson, Brett Lancaster, Jens Maurice.
Living from his car for years.
Yeah. 37 years of age now, Svein Tuft.
He had a great year wearing the pink jersey in the Giro.
Only for a day, but a day's better than never, isn't it?
General Sports Director of the Junta of Castilla y León.
Las flores serán entregadas por el señor Alfonso
Brett
Lahuerta,
Lancaster there,
director general de deportes de la Junta de
World
Castilla y
Championship
León.
gold medalist.
A Ben Tuft, a James
Master of
Maurice,
4,000
a Damien
meters on the
Howson,
track.
a Michael Hepburn, a Durbridge y también a Brett Lancaster.
Of course, Svein Tuft is the Canadian national champion, but because this is a team time trial event, you cannot wear your national kit. Neither can
Yeah.
Tony Martin, his
His World Championship
rainbow stripes.
jersey. In fact, Svein Tuft 9 times
In first place,
Canada's national time trial
winners
champion.
of the
Oh, on the road this year as well. There was a new
Yeah.
one.
That was his second time. Yeah.
BMC Racing Team of the United States of America.
Here we go, BMC. And the American teams have triumphed in the men as they did this morning in the women. And the man in the middle's probably triumphed over them all in Peter Velits. There he is. He's now got 3 gold medals in this event and only had 3 chances. The last 2 he was with Omega Pharma Quickstep.
And the medals being presented to the team of BMC. Rowan Dennis, Sylvain Villiers,
And Jim Okovitz, the manager on the left-hand side there, who's come out from Milwaukee. He managed Cadel Evans when Cadel Evans won the Tour de France for Team BMC, and the fairy tale continues today. And Brian Cookson there knows Jim pretty well.
Will be presented by Alfonso Laverta, General Sports Director of the UNTA.
There are the guys with Dennis, Dillier, Velits, Van Garderen, Kinsciato, and Daniel Os.
Daniel Os, TJ Van Garderen.
Yeah, Os is often over in the United States before he joined Team BMC when he was with Ricky Gas-Cannondale. Likes racing in the States, wouldn't be surprised if that's where he made friends with the riders on Team BMC. But now he's on the gold medal winning team time trial squad. So the medals go to USA, to Australia and to Belgium. 2 golds and 2 silvers already in the bank for USA and Australia. Jimokovic, the man who gets the trophy. Another big plus for Team BMC.
And now for the national anthem of the United States of America.
For the second time. So an excellent opening day for the World Champions here in Ponferrada in the west of Spain, about 400 kilometers away from the capital Madrid. As the team time trials are now behind us, tomorrow we start the countries riding in their own colours, and we'll continue our coverage here from Ponferrada on day 2 of these championships with the women's junior individual time trial and the men's under 23 individual time trial. And there's our little friend there. She cheers for the area that's now become the World Championships of cycling here in the valleys of El Bierzo. So it's been a great day of racing. The sun has shone and the rain in the end just about stayed away. So until we see you all again tomorrow, on behalf of Jose Ben and me, Phil Liggett, it's goodbye.
¿Y de qué manera? Era solamente de 4 segundos diferencia.
You want me to bring a sandwich on that Tuesday? But it's going to be the afternoon. Well, we can go through the